Do you, like Thierry Henry,
Yes.
think you better watch that one?
Of course.
You better be careful of that one.
Of course, because this isn't Tottenham rocking up to Aston Villa that couldn't even be bothered. This is West Ham that can be bothered, that will be motivated and will make it as difficult as they possibly can, because despite the fact they got battered by Brentford, there was no way that was a 3-0 game.
Yeah.
They've hit the post twice. They've had a goal disallowed, West Ham. So it was not reflective of their recent performances. So Arsenal are going to have to go and step on West Ham's throat. But I'm with Thierry Henry, because I think that could actually equalise itself out in terms of Arsenal going to West Ham and getting a draw. I don't think they will. I think they've just got about enough, and they'll deal with Burnley and they'll deal with Palace, because they're Palace last game of the season to win the league. They're going to deal with them, right?
Right.
And Burnley, come on, who can't? So with that in mind, the question for me was, what were Manchester City doing? The big question for Pep Guardiola is, what were they doing for 23 minutes in that second half?
talkSPORT Sports Update, powered by the Nissan Van range. Commercial vehicles built around your business. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van Centre.
With your headlines at just coming up to 2 minutes past 10, I'm Nick Ellaby. Good morning. Arsenal may be in the Champions League final with momentum and the advantage in the title race. But former Man City and Arsenal forward Emmanuel Adebayor still thinks Guardiola's boys will win the league.
Man City again dropping points at Everton. They will come back stronger. They will manage with their manager, with the players, with the experienced team they had. They will do everything possible to win the last 3 games and wait for Arsenal to drop points.
Meanwhile, Mikel Arteta's thanked Arsenal fans for helping them beat Atletico Madrid. PSG versus Bayern is live on talkSPORT tonight from 7 p.m. Now, Michael Owen has already earmarked Liverpool's Mo Salah replacement. He wants Jared Bowen at Anfield.
I was lucky enough to do a striking masterclass for a TV show we did last season with him, and I couldn't believe it. Honestly, left foot, right foot, yes. Bang, 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 corners, pace. A real top finisher. I think he's a brilliant player.
Sir Alex Ferguson still has horses at Michael Owen's stables, and they speak on the regular.
I would expect a message on my phone any time now, because he'll see that we've got 4 or 5 runners today at Chester, and he'll be wondering what's going on. Which horse should he be looking at?
Sir Alex is recovering after being taken to hospital as a precaution over the weekend. And John Rahm wants to keep competing on the Live Tour for now. He's paid the DP World Tour £2.5 million in fines so he can play in the Ryder Cup, but Rahm is still contracted to live for several years.
I don't see many ways out, and as of right now, I'm not really thinking about it, since we still have a season to play and majors to compete for, so it's not something I want to think about just yet.
Live Golf's looking for new sponsors after the Saudis announced they were pulling out. More at talksport.com.
talkSPORT News.
Leader of the Canary Islands says he will refuse to let a virus hit cruise ship dock there, and half-term holidays might be impacted by flight cancellations because of the war in Iran. More with Emma at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. The tyre transfer window is hotting up, and we've signed a multi-generational talent with Continental Tyres. Visit quickfit.com and book today.
Sunny spells and a scattering of showers. Those showers confined to the far west and far east by the afternoon. Some heavy and thundery. Chilly today, temperatures below average.
Good morning, everybody. You're listening to Jim White, Simon Jordan, Danny Murphy. We're live on talkSPORT. So Arsenal reach their first Champions League final in 20 years. The bottlers on the precipice of greatness. Are Arsenal about to complete one of the great sporting redemption stories? Meanwhile, should football be able to make a separation between head clashes and concussion? Also today, how pointed is Van Dijk's message to the Liverpool boardroom? Will tennis players follow through on their Grand Slam strike action? Can you repackage relegation vitriol into championship optimism? And how do Manchester City rediscover Phil Foden? Jim White, Simon Jordan, Danny Murphy, and we're live in talkSPORT.
100% engagement. Jim White and Simon Jordan on talkSPORT.
Before we get underway this morning, Neil, my good chum, who works in an office in Bankside, nipped down the stairs this morning, came out to tell massive Arsenal fan. Yeah, you told me they would get there, and they've got there, Neil. Well done. They're on their way to Budapest. Wow, Arsenal. What a story it is. Danny Murphy, Simon Jordan, good morning to you both.
Good morning, Jimbo.
Now, answer me one question. Producer Luke and myself and assistant producer Joe were sitting right in the nerve centre around there. And now I hear every Wednesday morning, you two gather or choose to gather just around the other side of a partition by the entrance to the offices here on the 17th floor, and you're in your own little huddle. Now, before Simon speaks on this, why, Danny, have you changed and you stay away from us before you join us live in the show? Not that it's bothering me much. Why does this happen?
Well, my good friend Simon's, decided to tell me about his troubles and his pain and his shoulder problem, and I felt empathetic. Yes. Sympathetic even, to be honest, because I have had similar issues in the past. But yeah, what did you want me to do? Ignore him and run to you?
Yeah, well, yes, that's what you normally do. I mean, your back problem, no doubt, came out of a situation on the football field when it was
a neck problem.
Full-blooded. He's been reaching up for a flan in his kitchen. I mean,
for a what?
How are you?
Flan.
How are you?
Flan.
Yeah.
Yes. Carrying you more like. That's the reason why my back has gone.
There you go. No. So you found somebody that sympathises in Danny.
We do not huddle around there. I normally don't get into 5 to 10. And just the last couple of times, I've gotten in a little bit earlier, and he comes through the foyer. So we have a chat.
The foyer.
And we enjoy talking to one another about various things that don't involve you.
Anyway.
Topics you have no knowledge about, Jim.
Well, this is true. Yeah, the back problem, how is it? Are you still... Not good.
No, let's not bore anybody.
Oh, my God, mate. I can't wait for the time you actually come in and say, I'm free of it all.
It'll be next week. I'm going to have the injection in my spine next week. I've had enough.
Oh, are you? An injection in your spine?
I've had enough.
All right.
Enough.
You don't do things by half, Simon, do you?
He told me to do it 2 weeks ago. And
really?
The surgeon told me not to do it, to try and survive on painkillers and physio, and it ain't working.
Right, okay. Well,
so next week I shall be a much more upbeat individual.
Oh, don't you
not
worry.
Really.
You'll be fine. Let me tell you, there's a long list of volunteers with the syringe.
Inject me, yeah.
To do
the epidural.
And I'm right up the top there with that blunt needle.
You behind me, thank you.
There you go. How did that work out last time? Graham Souness, happy birthday, 73.
Again.
73. Graham Souness. Can you imagine it? 73. I'm not far behind him.
He'll live forever, even.
Looks good on it.
Oh, he does look good in it. Arsenal look good in it, don't they? They beat Atletico to reach their first Champions League final in 20 years. Well done. Well done, Arteta and his boys. You've got there. So all roads lead to Budapest, Hungary, and you will take on either Paris Saint-Germain or Bayern Munich. Arteta, post-match.
It's an incredible night. We made history again together, and I cannot be happier, prouder for everybody that is involved in this football club. The manner that we got received outside the stadium already was special and unique. The atmosphere our supporters created, the energy, the way they lifted every ball with us, it made it special and unique. I never felt that in the stadium. And we knew how much it meant to everybody. We put everything. The boys did an incredible job. And after 20 years and for the second time in our history, we are back in the Champions League final.
I was there the last time, and I remember the look of disappointment on the faces of many Arsenal fans over in Paris when they lost out on that occasion to Barcelona. What's going to happen this time? Danny, the bottlers on the precipice of greatness. Are Arsenal about to complete one of the great sporting redemption stories?
Well, I mean, I just see it as another progression for him and the team to get one more step closer. It's a great achievement. I know there's a little bit of chat about, oh, they had the easy side of the draw, blah, blah, blah. They're undefeated in the Champions League. That is some going.
Yeah.
And I've said on this programme many times, they're the best defensive team in Europe, if not the world. And he's created that mentality. And he's created a team and a squad with the help of, the board and the finances, of course. But he's created a really strong mentality in that group of players that have got them to this point where they are so close to an amazing achievement. And which even if they just win one of them, to be honest, it's still a wonderful season. And to be like Champions League finals, a big deal. I've played in it. And it's hard. Every round gets harder. They had a quarter-final, last year a semi-final, now a final. That's progression. Now, there's this constant chat about the way they play. Is it right? Is it good football? Is it this? Is it that? The reality is they're 3 games away from winning the league and a game away from winning the Champions League, and that's because of him and the mentality he's managed to build within this squad. So they deserve credit.
Yeah, Danny's right on this mentality thing, Simon. Arsenal have not lost a single game in the competition. That's 14 of them.
Yep.
And they have the best defensive record. Last night was their 30th clean sheet this season in all competition across 59 games.
That's remarkable. I mean, they navigated the game last night. It wasn't much of a game.
No, it wasn't.
It was a spectacle in terms of the investment from the fans and the energy and atmosphere inside the stadium. And well done to the Arsenal fans to get behind their team at a time when it's important to do so, because the opportunity is theirs now. And as I said to you yesterday when we were talking about Arsenal and Man City's situation, Man City is up Man City, and Arsenal beat Fulham very well on the weekend. Their fans will know that they're on the cusp of something, so they're turning up to give them all the support they possibly can. Now, this characterisation of bottlers and redemption. First of all, they bottled. That doesn't make you bottlers in perpetuity. 1 season, 2 years ago, they choked. They allowed Man City back through the door this particular season, but I think carrying on the perception to make an argument about whether they're bottlers and get redemption, I don't like that characterisation. They have an opportunity to win the Premier League. I think I think what we can look forward to is a Champions League final. It isn't going to be most invigorating unless, of course, PSG and Bayern Munich decide that they're going to play in a certain way, because Arsenal won't. They'll make it difficult for the opposition. I don't think we'll see a free-flowing Champions League final, but that is what it is. And if they win the Champions League that way, then they've won the Champions League, and it'll be lost in time over history about how the game was played. So I think you look at it and say, Saka being back in his side is a massive boost. One of the things that myself and Martin Keown agreed on regularly, which is a rarity, was the absence of Saka is a massive miss for Arsenal.
Yeah,
he gives them a totally different dimension. He creates a different dynamic. He does simple things very well, and makes it very. He doesn't look like he's doing anything particularly fantastic or flamboyant, but he's so effective from the chances he creates for other people to the goals that he scored, and he makes such a big difference to that side. Now, going into the situation, as we said yesterday, if they beat West Ham, irrespective of silly callers coming in saying, well, it isn't done yet. No one said they're going to drop tools. If they beat West Ham on the weekend on Sunday, then I think they'll win the Premier League. Do I think they'll win the Champions League? Possibly, but I would suspect that PSG or Bayern Munich will beat them, but notwithstanding that, it's a fabulous achievement.
Yeah.
And well done to them. And that's what football, in terms of fan support, should look like.
The thing is, Simon, narratives stick. We know that. Yeah. So the bottlers thing has stuck until they unstick it.
But it's an easy. I think
they need to rewrite the history themselves.
I know, but I can also push back and say, well, I don't really like that because I think it's a bit lazy. We can do it in perpetuity, and they bottled. If you do something once, it doesn't define you forever. Surely,
I agree.
Both you and I can look at that from our own perspectives in our own lives. But well, I'm not having that because I didn't do well at Crystal Palace. It doesn't make me a failure for the rest of my life.
I agree with you.
So with that in mind,
but Ten Hag's situation has stuck with him. That narrative, the suit doesn't fit. That stuck, and he went.
Because in perpetuity, from the moment he walked through the door, he didn't deliver outcomes that people were befitting of the job that he was brought in to do. He didn't speak in anything that vaguely resembled what was being put forward on the pitch, and he got sacked before he got an opportunity to remedy that.
Yeah. The other narrative, Danny, is that Arteta's a nearly man. The nearly man. Now, to all his critics and all his doubters.
Yeah, I mean, it's the perfect way to shut people up is to be successful in anything you do. He'll still have critics. Unfortunately, the way the world is, if they win both.
How?
Well, because
that's almost impossible. How will he?
I agree with you, but this year's Premier League wasn't great. Chelsea were awful. Liverpool fell off a cliff. United are nowhere near.
Is that criticism? I mean, is that criticism or is it fair comment? If it doesn't apply to other people, because I think everybody that's in the spotlight gets pulled down, specifically in this country. So the fact that Arteta's in the spotlight right now because his team are top of the league in the Champions League final isn't criticism unless it's unfair. If it's not justified, if it's people looking to criticise for the sake of it, like that ridiculous observations from Pardew that I keep on going about, that Arsenal would be an asterisk.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous in my view. But to suggest that he's been a nearly man when you've been second in the league 3 times in a row is a reasonable observation. For me to call Pochettino a bridesmaid in English football is a reasonable observation until they prove something different. Now, is it a middle finger or is it doing what he should do? He's been given all the resources in the world. He's gone pound for pound, pretty much, and matched the expenditure of some of the big clubs that he's trying to rival. He's had 6 years to achieve a side that wins something. So I think, in with all due respect, about time already.
Oh yeah, but I tell you what I would say though, he deserves credit because he didn't carry on doing the same thing after the last 2 seasons. He changed it. They've played differently this season, and he's changed it to try and get over the line.
You're right.
And he's taken a bit of criticism for it, but actually, so what?
Yeah.
You know, at least he had the gumption to say, I'm not going to do it that way. I'm going to try a different way.
He's not an ideologue.
Well, Simon mentioned him. Arsenal invincible Martin Keown will join us live about 11:30. I think Martin was saying last night on his way into the Emirates, the atmosphere was absolutely unbelievable. It took Keown forever to get to the front door. It takes him quite an amount of time to get to the front door at the Emirates at any time. The number of people that stop him say you're Arsenal invincible Martin Keown. But on this occasion, it was crazy. But I'll put it out there this morning. And Arsenal fans, up and about with a spring in your step. Join us, why don't you? Is it not high time Arsenal as a club come of age in Europe? 03717 22 3344.
Michael Carrick feels very comfortable being the Manchester United manager. He looks as if he wants the job. He doesn't get flustered by the fact that he has to wear that blazer and walk down that touchline. He's a natural fit for it, and he said that yesterday, that it feels quite natural for him. This was him speaking after the game yesterday.
It's been a good run, I think. We've obviously beat some very, very good teams, and it's been challenging. Sometimes we won it in some ways, sometimes we've got to win in other ways, but I love doing what I'm doing. It's a great position for me to be, and it feels pretty natural. If I'm totally honest, I'm not being blasé, because it's a difficult role, but it feels that I've been here a long time in different times, on and off. But I kind of understand what it brings, and to be sat in this position is a good position to be.
James, just following on from that, Michael, will you be disappointed now if you don't get this job?
We'll have to wait and see, all we can do, I think, when we came in, I think Champions League, to be honest, was a little bit in a distance, and we wanted to try and get back into Europe. So to be where we are, the one the players have put together with 3 games to spare is a good achievement. I see it as just being a step, though. We're not over celebrating it, but whatever's going to happen is going to happen. I can only do my best for the club and for the players, especially, and try and help them as best as we can, and then see what happens after.
It's the best run that Manchester United have been on since March 2019. Ten Hag did have a 9-game all competitions winning run.
morning, everybody. A lot to get through this morning. So many massive games, not least Nottingham Forest going to Aston Villa tomorrow night in the Europa League semi-final second leg there. Very interesting situation regards Morgan Gibbs-White has emerged, has it not? We'll get to that. At the moment, we are pitching our tent on the lawns of Arsenal because Arsenal have done it. They have got to the Champions League final, on course to win the Premier League too, but they are heading to Budapest where they will play either PSG or Bayern Munich. These two go head-to-head tonight over in Munich. Ali McCoy says there, he set off yesterday, no doubt. That one is going to be as mind-blowing as last week. Well, if it is, then we're in for a treat, are we not? Without Arteta, Arsenal in the Champions League from 2010 to 2017 went out every which time at the round of 16. With Arteta, in 23-24 quarter-finalists, in 24-25 semi-finalists, and now 25-26, they have got themselves to the final in Budapest. My God, what an achievement. Danny, let's talk about who's doing what and why. What's your take on Miles Lewis-Skelly for Zubimendi? Has this tactical shift changed the midfield dynamic, do you think?
Well, it wasn't tactical, it was personnel change. The tactics were still the same. But after his brilliant performance against Fulham, he left him in there, which was a massive call because Zubimendi's experienced international. He's a hell of a good player. But he has, for the last month or two, just looked a bit jaded and not had the impact on games. Struggled in a few games, caught on the ball and a little bit slow. Maybe just the game's catching up with him. So to leave, I mean, he's 19, Miles Lewis-Skelly. And to throw him in after not playing that much was a big ask, but he was phenomenal. Very brave with his passing, very comfortable in tight areas. Looked just effortless for him.
Yeah.
He was arguably one of the best, if not the best, one of the best 2 or 3 players on the night. The only amazing thing is he's only made 15 starts this season now. Last year, he played nearly all the games. He was brilliant against Madrid. He made his England debut, scored. It looked like he arguably could be the England left-back for the next 10 years. I think we talked about it on this show one particular time.
Yeah.
For some reason, we don't see him train every day. I mean, he's only a kid as well, just 19 or whatever he is. He's gone with Calafiori and Nketiah. I think that's more to do with physicality and the way he wanted to play and the set plays and just the power because he's small. He's diminutive, isn't he? He's a low sense of gravity, small player.
Yeah. Lewis-Skelly, midfield's his natural position, isn't it? Not left-back where he was last season.
Well, when he played left-back, he still ended up in those positions a lot.
Right.
But he's got this bravery on the ball, which we don't see too often these days from centre. And I think Arsenal, under pressure in the last couple of months, have gone a bit safe.
And what about Victor Gyökeres? Is he beginning to stand out in an Arsenal shirt?
He's had his best few games. I think he looks stronger than he has. He looks fit. He's selfless. He's always been selfless. He works for the team, but physically he looks good. He looks as sharp as he has done all season, which is unusual at this stage of the season. He's doing his bit. He's just rising to the occasion at the right time. I'm still not sure he's ever going to be
clinical enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That chance at 1-0 where you think, but he certainly played well last night and give the team a real focal point.
Yeah. So, Simon, with this group and manager reaching new ground, can you legitimately argue that progress and success has come about as of now?
Oh, absolutely. But you're not looking for incremental steps, you're looking for outcomes. The incremental steps have been had. Re-establishing themselves as a top 4 side, re-establishing themselves as a side challenging for the championship, have all been done. You know, if you want to take little baby steps to really inch across the line, then you can make the arguments. But to get to a Champions League final is a feat in of itself. But to be top of the Premier League is, I think, a greater feat because it's a cup competition. The Champions League, I think, is a fallacy. It's not made up of champions. A lot of the teams that you play along the way are nowhere near some of the opposition that you play in the Premier League, despite the fact they're badged up as champions. It's interesting listening to the comment talking about the kid Lewis-Skelly. It was interesting listening to Declan Rice talk about it.
Yeah, it was,
because he talked about the fact that he actually said the boss has been quite hard on him.
Yeah,
and pushed him, and we've all sort of looked at it, and we know the kid's got bags of talent. So there's obviously some reason that even for Declan Rice, maybe it was just a slip of the tongue, or maybe he volunteered too much information, or maybe there was a method behind it. But he sort of, without really prompting and probing by the so-called experts, Daniel Sturridge and whoever was with him, there was a revelation about the fact that, the boss has been quite hard on Lewis Skelly, because they asked him about his performance and he went into the fact that he'd not played many games.
But he did also say, and it's a great interview, I mean, Declan speaks really well, but he did actually say how well he trains and how good, his attitude, and never just gets on with it. And I know he's probably going to say that, but that kind of contradicts where we're going with that, which is
But the fact he said the boss has been hard on him, now that to suggest that there's a necessity to it, because I don't get the impression Arteta's an inequitable person. I think when he doesn't like somebody, they're gone. Whether it's Mesut Ozil or whether it's Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, who are senior players who got what was coming their way. Yeah. Right? In this instance, it doesn't feel to me that he would be picking on a young kid and being hard on him, quote unquote, unless there was a reason. Yeah. In the same way that often was said about Mourinho with Luke Shaw, there was a reason, and people didn't like it. Well, there was a reason.
It makes sense because actually, when you nearing the end of his regular run in the team, he did have some poor games.
Yeah.
Where he struggled a little bit, and maybe
overconfident. I thought he was at times.
Yeah,
maybe. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. So
the calls are coming in big numbers. 03717223344. We'll take them, guys, after the break. You don't need to leap to put your earphones on at the moment. I want to put this to you both, though, as we head towards 10:30. From the nerves and fear, Simon, from a few weeks back, and there were. Has a trip switch almost been flicked amongst the Arsenal players and the fans? I mean, what's changed?
Well, I think there's been a call to action. I think there's been, Martin is very loud, and this show has a good reach. Emmanuel Petit has been very loud about. I'm not suggesting they're Lord Kitchener moments, but they are circumstances where the Arsenal fan base go, "What are we doing? What is the purpose of us biting our fingernails?" There was still some fingernail biting last night. You saw it on television. But what is the purpose of not creating an atmosphere that's intimidating to the opposition, rather than the opposition goes, "Well, we quieten them down again. We're back to the library." So the fans will have perhaps gotten. But there's also there's a new trend of fan interaction now, which we saw when Tottenham turned up for their game 2 or 3 weeks ago, which helped Nottingham Forest. The fans are outside, so it's a new vogue that's going. Let's get behind them and illustrate that in a very demonstrative.
I think,
but we also saw some Arsenal fans, Danny, booing them off when they lost it to Bournemouth on their own ground, just weeks back.
But that's modern day football. That's how it goes. People pay their fare. They want instantaneous gratification.
They were still top of the league.
But listen, because they could see that there was a change in the way that the side were playing. They could see a consistent level of results that weren't particularly high, and they saw a Bournemouth result where Bournemouth got at them and made it very difficult for them, and Arsenal didn't respond.
I actually think the biggest change was when they lost to Man City but played decent. The pressure went from being at the top, being chased, to come on.
Yeah.
Like the switch is now we've got.
Did you think they were really? I thought they were really good at Fulham, but people keep telling me it's because Fulham was so bad. But I thought that Arsenal Aston Villa, Fulham and Aston Villa were not in the same zip code as far as I was concerned. Aston Villa were a disgrace. But Fulham, I felt, were a difficult game for them, and Arsenal just rolled over them. It was
really a comfortable performance, and the Newcastle game was a tad nervy. But let's not forget, Fulham was sandwiched between two really big games against Atletico, an half-decent side. They've gone to Atletico Madrid, dug in second half, good first half. That game last night, I thought generally, apart from that Simeone chance, they were really good.
They're not going to get an easier. I mean, with respect to try not to try and peel their parade, they ain't going to get an easier Champions League semi-final than Atletico Madrid.
No,
because they weren't a great side, were they?
No,
they were not. Arsenal navigated their way through it and made it difficult. And a backheader from Gabriel Saliba, one of the two, was the real only, and Soloff, an ex-Palace player.
Can only beat what's in front of you.
That's true. But we also have to be balanced in our observations.
Yeah.
Fair play, fantastic. That's what atmosphere should look like, and we should all be plaudits. You play that way, trying to survive in certain parts of the game against PSG and Bayern Munich, you're going to get your backsides handed to you.
I think Everton deserve a little bit of acknowledgement for half creating that atmosphere as well.
Yeah, True, Danny. Yeah, that's actually quite a valid point. But what has changed? And we're going to take the calls the other side of 10:30, because from the nerves and fear from a few weeks back, and they were nerves and fear. Were you one of the Arsenal fans at the Emirates who booed them off after they lost to Bournemouth, for example? Has a trip switch been flicked amongst the Arsenal players and you, the fans? Let's hear from you. 03717223344 81089. The morning after the night before, and the night before, Arsenal got themselves their Champions League final.
not my fault that you're fighting relegation.
It's not our fault, you crap.
No, listen,
don't blame Spurs.
No, I'm not blaming Spurs. I'm not blaming Spurs, right? But you lot, you bunch of absolute... I can't tell you what. Celebrating people. Ole, ole, Spurs, away, ole, ole. You lot are shameless. Absolutely shameless.
It's just who we are, mate.
I mean...
Good team, Forest.
I mean, well played.
They're a good team.
Do you know what?
They're a good team.
Here's the stats.
Are you coming with stats?
No, I know, but this is actually quite damning.
Now, what's happened to you lot?
Listen,
what's happened?
This is quite damning.
What's happening? Next season, you going down?
Hold on, this is quite damning. All right. Forest, they are joint. We are currently on statistics the worst side last 6 games of the league.
Yeah, bottom.
Forest, I think they're joint top with Leeds.
Good team. We're a good team, mate.
Bournemouth. City, you can write them off as well. That was poor. I don't even put them in.
Big Callum McFarlane doing bits. He's doing bits, mate. You should keep him on. He's doing all right, you know. Doing all right. Doing all right, Big Cal.
Don't leave Big Cal alone.
Big Mac.
Leave Big Mac alone.
Let's keep Big Mac in there.
Leave Big Mac and...
It seems Mikel Arteta's brought back the old George Graham-style hard-fought 1-0 wins in the big games, and talkSPORT's Darren Bent says it's paying off.
There's no right or wrong answer, but I think we've seen now from this Arsenal team, certainly where they are currently as we sit today, that this way is effective and you can win major trophies, hopefully, by playing this way. It doesn't have to be pretty and it doesn't have to be expansive.
Arsenal through to a first Champions League final in 20 years, but does that represent a significant achievement for the squad? Gabby Agbonlahor.
Don't want to be negative, but if you look at their route, deservedly finishing top of the league stage, but their route to the final, they should be in a final. Now the hard work starts, preparing for that.
Who will Arsenal face in Budapest? Bayern Munich at home to PSG is live on talkSPORT tonight from 7 p.m. Expect thrills and spills. Now, if Michael Owen could make one signing to replace Mo Salah, it would be Jared Bowen.
West Ham, adore the man, and rightly so. But if West Ham went down, he would fit for me.
Owen's also told talkSPORT Liverpool have pensioned Andy Robertson off too early. You can catch up with Owen's interview on breakfast on the talkSPORT YouTube channel or app. And John Rahm doesn't see how he could get out of his Liv contract even if he wanted to.
We want to be here. It's been a lot of fun. I want to keep competing. I want to keep sharing some time with them. But time will tell. Obviously, I think Scott and his team have a lot of hard work to do.
Liv Golf need new investment to continue after this season, after the Saudis confirmed they're pulling out.
Wednesday, May the 6th. It's Jim White, it's Simon Jordan, and it's Danny Murphy. And we are live on talkSPORT, live on your TV as well, even Prime Video. So wherever you want to watch the show, you will find it. Whether it's on Fire TV, Apple TV, Chromecast, Android, Google TV, and all the others that I find intriguing to name in the morning. We're with you all the way through until 1 o'clock. We're about to be joined by numerous numbers of Arsenal fans who are calling in and delighted, no doubt, that their side, their club, is in a Champions League final again for the first time in 20 long years. I was there in Paris the last time out and there was disappointment, but will there be smiles on their faces come the end of the match in Budapest? At the end of this month? My God, what an opportunity they have got. So let's get into this now. From the nerves and fear from a few weeks back, has a trip switch been flicked amongst the Arsenal players and the fans? How have they done it? Ricardo, big Arsenal fan, good morning. What's your thinking this morning?
Good morning, gentlemen. Fantastic show, as always.
Thanks, Ricardo.
Very, very happy but grounded Arsenal fan. I've written down 3 points here just so that I can remember them, so I'll keep them as brief as possible. Firstly, I think there's been an overreaction from all sides. I think from, pundits in one way, saying Arsenal fans and players over-celebrating, to Arsenal fans last night calling the Cundy and O'Hara show saying, we've gone undefeated through the group stages. If we win it, we need a gold trophy. We don't need that. Also, there seems to be a trip switch in Arteta. The last couple of weeks, he seems to be relaxed. He's smiling. He's even admitted with the Miles Lewis Skelly, I don't know what took me so long. So something has switched there. But also, Arsenal are now back to playing offensive and not pragmatic football. And I think playing the pragmatic football, the tippy-tappy, sideways, back to Raya, was getting frustrating for Arsenal fans, me inclusive.
Yeah.
But I think something has happened in the last couple of weeks, obviously, I think since the Man City defeat, and that trip switch, as you guys rightly said, just before the break, and something has happened, and all of a sudden the players are thinking, you know what, let's go back to what we know best. And on their day, if Arsenal play offensive football, they will tear most teams apart.
Right.
We have shown in the former stages of the
So Ricardo, you're saying this morning you're staying grounded. Okay. But where is this momentum going to take you?
Hopefully all the way. Hopefully to 2 championships. Hopefully to 2 titles. Yeah, the championship and the league title. But no matter what, because I know, as all you guys know, when you get to number 1, there's only one way. The snipers are out to shoot you down. So Arsenal fans, stay grounded because we know we've got a lot of haters out there.
Wow, that's some call, isn't it, Danny? What a good call from Ricardo. I know you were listening closely to everything he said there.
Yeah, I think he made some good points. I mean, the protective nature of their play and when they've had that wobble was kind of inevitable when you're protecting this lead and you've not got over the line before. It doesn't. You don't do it on purpose. It just kind of spreads as the game goes on. It's like and you could see it, the tension, the safety in the passing. You're watching players who normally fire it through the lines and play round corners, and they're going no, and they go there, and then they go sideways. And it has switched a bit because of that defeat at Man City, and because it's like, well, nothing to lose. We're not top anymore. I think that was, and just the other point. Sorry, Simon, is I actually think, and I've said before on this show, for all Arteta's critics, this season, not just recently, this season he's been much better in press conferences and the way he's conducted himself, the lack of moaning, the lack of excuses, the calmness. The difference in him this season has been profound from that kind of knee-jerk blame culture. There's always something. I think he's conducted himself very well.
What is that, Simon? Is he displaying more natural maturity?
I think that's just maturity. I think it's awareness of the observation and looking at the fact that if you give people an opportunity to parody and ridicule you because you say things like the balls are different in the League Cup when you're playing in a different competition, people are going to turn around and say this is nonsense. But we also have to get context. Arsenal were not imperious last night. They weren't imperious in either one of these games. There was a style of play that at times was navigating the result. In the second half, Arsenal were a counter-attacking side that allowed Atletico Madrid to come onto them, and we're sitting here praising Gyökeres for holding the ball up and getting lots of free kicks and being very robust and working hard. There wasn't any free-flowing, expansive, ambitious football being played by Arsenal last night.
But he was protecting a lead, Simon, and this Arsenal aren't going to roll people over.
Well, we're not. If we're talking about size, if we're going to paint, if we're going to paint a picture which switch has been flicked, there hasn't been a switch flicked, has there? They managed to. I think they were much better against Fulham, but I've been religiously told by people that Fulham were very poor on that afternoon. But when it comes to against Madrid, they navigated their way through. They didn't go at them. They didn't jump on their throat and go, right, we're the better team, we're the better side.
To be fair, you may I see where you're coming from, but actually, when you break it down, the first half in Madrid was Arsenal being on top. They did go and press on mine. They did go, you're not dictating to us. We're going to make it. Second half, they did a bit of that because they had the lead. But it was a different mentality than and even the City game, to be fair to them.
But yesterday, when they're 1-0 up in the game, I mean,
that's even if they're playing well, that would have happened.
That's inevitable, is it?
Yeah. But you're putting out quite a butt this morning, though. Simon.
Well, I'm just saying if we're going to,
it's balanced. It is.
I'm balancing. If we're going to characterise it as a switch being flicked, I think a switch being flicked means right. We're now winning games, and we're going to go and put the opposition to the sword. When they went 1-0 up, they had now won that game in their mind's eye.
Right.
So there was no need to go score more goals, and really it was a job of containment and maybe try and catch Atletico Madrid on the break, which should have been done by Gyökeres when he had his one particular chance in that game. But other than that, it was make sure that Madrid don't score.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I think
in it. With that? They backed themselves defensively.
So they're protecting themselves as they were in previous games.
I think
navigating themselves. So where's the switch that's been flicked then? They've won games. They were better against Fulham. They lost. I mean, we're making a big deal of the fact that I think most people, besides really negative people, I thought Arsenal would turn up against Man City. I didn't think Arsenal weren't going to be bold in that game. I thought Arsenal were going to go toe-to-toe to some extent with Man City, and there was going to be a performance. It's not about those games. It's never been about those games. It was never about losing to Man City. It was about when they turned up at Wolves, or when they turned up at Nottingham Forest, or when they turned up at Brentford, when they turned up at Bournemouth. Those are the games that they didn't perform in.
All right. David, big Arsenal fan, good morning. Sorry to keep you, mate, but from these nerves and fear that we've seen in recent times, do you think a switch to a degree has been flicked?
Yeah, but I think, I have some other points, but based on that, my point that no one seemed to really talk about was this season was what's different to the other seasons is we've clearly got the depth. And the depth was going to show as the season went on. When other teams got tired and when they got injuries, our depth would start to shine. But unfortunately, we've had a lot of injuries ourselves. But if I could just talk about what I wanted to, really.
Go on.
I'm really being fed up with the criticism that Arteta's been getting. And what happens if we do win nothing? I think the first point I wanted to make was he's been a victim of his own success. So many people, fans, pundits, have forgotten where we were 6 years ago. The club was toxic. The fans are hating it. We was going backwards. What he's taken us to is incredible. And he might have even got less criticism if he took us to fourth and then the following season third and then the following season second. Because we've been competing so quick, I feel he's been criticised even more. And the second thing I want to make a point of that no one seems to talk about, this is his first managerial job. Everyone forgets that. It's his first job taking on a huge club. And I'm really glad what Danny just said because about interviews and stuff. Arteta is constantly learning. He's always learning, and that's what he's showing. And that's why I say, again, I feel like the criticism is so harsh on him because it's his first managerial job. How many people do what he does for the first time?
Not many. I think
that's a fair point. That is a fair point. We shouldn't forget Arteta and where he is.
I think also
where he's been.
Also as well, he'd probably, with hindsight, look back and think maybe actually going a bit stronger and a bit more serious on some of the cup competitions, especially League Cup and stuff, maybe just to keep the fans up and get a trophy along the way, because that's what normally appeases the progression.
So let's basically make him immune to any criticism. First of all, the criticism didn't come 1 year into his job. It didn't come 2 years into his job. It's come in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
So he's had 4 years. Oh, if you could be a manager and be given 6 years and £200 million a season to be able to achieve something, and incremental steps have built you into a position. Yes, of course he should be praised. Yes, of course he has been praised. Everyone acknowledges the existence of the change of culture, which you fans, by the way, Arsenal, created. And hounded out Unai Emery, who's ripping it up at Aston Villa besides that crap on the weekend. So the bottom line is let's have it balanced. He is not immune to criticism.
No, he's not.
So that last caller's suggestion was, well, he's had 6 years at this.
But this is the only place he's been.
So what?
He's 44. Simeone, who has shed loads of experience, went out last night.
Yeah.
With Atletico Madrid, age 56. And before Atletico, where he joined in 2011, he was at San Lorenzo in South America, River Plate, Estudiantes, big clubs down there.
So is he immune to criticism? Did he get criticism then? Because what we're suggesting is, Eddie Howe is a victim of his success because all of a sudden this is what happens. You can't turn football. You've got people that lose 6 games in a row at Chelsea. It's a crisis. The club is going to fold down. It's going to melt. Right. So.
Well, they are in meltdown.
Well, they're not. They lost 6 games.
No, hang on. If you put Simon, Chelsea are in meltdown.
I can't be bothered with silly media expressions like that. That's not grown-up thinking. They're not in meltdown. They're having a bad time.
Well, you're in the media.
Yeah, I think the thing with the Arteta situation is he has done a good job.
Yeah,
he's made Arsenal a force. And
how do you both assess his body of work thus far?
I think he's done well. Now, there comes a point where you have to go. You got to get over the line because it just goes on otherwise. Ad infinitum, as Simon would say.
Yeah. Very good.
So he's done a good job, and Arsenal fans shouldn't have been as critical.
I'm not saying Simon he should be immune from criticism. There isn't a suggestion he should be.
That's
immune
what the last
from
caller's suggesting. You've got to factor this in. You've got to factor that in. Okay, so we'll factor that all in, and no one will say anything. So everything has to be caveated. When he says something stupid, you've got to remember he's only been there 5 years. You've got to remember it's his first job. No, you've got to call it as you see it. No one else remembers anything. So when you're an owner of a football club and you've been there for a couple of years, you get it wrong. Does anyone remember that? No, you're an idiot.
I think good football.
I see where we're coming from.
I think good football people. Good football people see the job he's done.
Yeah,
and they're also aware that at some point he's got to get over the line. Otherwise, there will be a change. That's just life.
And I reckon nobody more than he knows that.
Of course, he does.
So he should. He's got a brilliant job. Some might say he's incredibly fortunate to be given that opportunity. Incredibly fortunate to be given that support and that amount of foresight to be able to keep you in a job where most clubs that haven't won things, that expect to win things, which Arsenal do.
He did inherit a mess, didn't he?
He did.
He inherited a mess.
He did.
He won a cup in the first. He won a cup in the first 6 months he was there. Well, that's a terrible mess. I wish I had that kind of mess in my life.
No, but it was a mess. The culture of the dressing room was not good. They finished 8th. They were not in a good place.
I think for me,
the Arsenal that we've come to know and love.
The simple way to look at it, Jim, is even whoever they'd have gone in at that point, would they be where they are now, or would they be better? Because you can't guarantee that money brings you success. We've seen that. Look what Liverpool did in the summer, and look what's happened.
Yeah.
Right. So he's done a hell of a job, and he deserves to be talked about positively, but there has been mistakes along the way.
And incidentally, Simon, if there's a Chelsea fan out there who's happy with the way things are going at the moment, let him on. 03717 223344. But on Arsenal, we're going to keep with Arsenal until 11 o'clock, because why wouldn't we? You're in a Champions League final. But here's one for you. If Arteta achieves this feat, does he eclipse Wenger in the greatest Arsenal managerial debate? Give us a call. 03717 223344.
And what about Victor Gyökeres? Do we need to give him a handshake and say, well done? The last Arsenal player to score 20-plus goals in their debut season was Alexis Sanchez, 2014-15. Wow. Only Erling Haaland and Igor Thiago have scored more goals than Gyökeres this season.
Yeah, I guess if you're still being ultra-critical, you would say...
Ultra-critical?
Is that a word? Hypercritical, you would say... Ultra-critical, there you go. You would say that he still gets his goals against the Leicester Lights in the Premier League. Can you bank on him to score in the big games? Could you bank on him against Atletico in midweek? Probably not. So, yeah, I think 20 goals comes with a little bit of a caveat just in terms of the class of opponent he tends to score against.
It does, but I think you also have to remember 20 goals is still 20 goals in the Premier League. If you're scoring 20 goals in the Premier League, you're doing a good job. Even though they've come against Leeds, Nottingham Forest, Burnley, Everton, Leeds, Sunderland, Tottenham, Everton, Bournemouth, and Fulham. Does that dim the achievement then?
So Bournemouth and Fulham, the only top half teams that he scored against, is that right?
Mm.
Yeah, I think it does dim the achievement because they didn't pay the money for Victor Gyökeres to score against Leeds, with the greatest respect in the world.
Mm. Well, interesting. I think he's done a pretty good job, to be honest with you. West Ham away.
Him or Šeško? Because obviously that was the balancing act between a lot of clubs in the summer.
Told you that from the beginning, Šeško. Yeah. All day. Leaner, faster, quicker, sharper in front of goal. Got something. I think Gyökeres is a good player, but Šeško's a lot younger. There's a higher ceiling for him to develop into. I think you're buying Gyökeres. There's not really many more gears he can go up.
Chris, the Millwall fan, I absolutely have to read this one out, Chris. Good morning to you. Danny Murphy, the smartest ex-footballer on the radio. He's a clever guy. Oh, Chris, we've known that for a long time. We know that for a long time. It's amazing, though, that even though Arsenal have got themselves to a Champions League final and they're looking very good to win the Premier League, some people aren't having Arsenal. Danny, good morning to you. Your namesake, Dan. How have they done it, Jim? I'll tell you how they've done it. They have done it because Manchester City are not the Manchester City of previous years. Had this been any other year, Arsenal would be second again. Some people just not having it. Phil in Manchester, this Arsenal loving, it's ridiculous, Jim. They haven't won anything yet. We know that, Phil. You have this feature at the end of the season. I'll call in if they win nothing. Do that. We'll be here, Phil. We'll be here. Some people just not letting Arsenal off the hook no matter what. John's a big Arsenal fan. Good morning, John. Where are you at with it all? Guys. Where are you at with it, John? I mean, this trip switch, has it been flicked amongst the players and you, the fans?
I don't know. We were talking about the incredible job Arteta has done, and I think what he's done is given the fans belief again, and the players have as well. Like last night I was there yesterday. That was the most incredible atmosphere I've ever seen at the Emirates, and I think you talk about the 12th man. We've got trust in the team now. We've got trust in the players now, and they just need to get it over the line. And you say people talk about the Premier League not being as entertaining as other leagues, but you've got a Premier League team in the Champions League final, potentially a Europa League final, and potentially a Conference League final. So I think the quality in the Premier League is still there. It is still a very difficult league to win, and we know that. We just got to get it over the line.
I like it. John, thank you for that. Wonder if Greg agrees with everything you've said. Greg, big Arsenal fan, good morning. What do you want to tell us?
Morning, chaps. How are you?
Good, thanks, Greg. Good. Fire away from wherever you're driving.
Listen, I was just going to say, listen, at Arsenal, we can't do right for doing wrong. Do you know what I mean? From where we were, where we've evolved from, to now have, basically just petulant Wallies talking nonsense non-stop about us. Ex-pros embarrassing themselves non-stop about us, coming out of all sorts of waffle. You try and take away the credibility, but the facts are there. What Arteta has built from day one to now is undeniable. It's a credit to him, his work ethic and his dedication to the role to bring this club as to where he thought it should be.
Yeah.
But also his employers. They weren't investing in the club before he came, really. It was very disjointed. It was a fractured relationship. They bought into his project. They built it with him. And the club has now come back to where it was. So for people to try and just take pop shots and come up with all these things about what they say and the methods that he uses and stuff like that, it's innovative thinking. Simon, you used to do it. I've listened to your book. You used to offer your sales managers rides in your Ferraris and all that sort of stuff. It's how you motivate people.
Did he, Greg?
Yeah.
I think you make a good point.
I never got offered a ride in his Ferrari.
No, nor did I.
Nah.
Yeah, he has been innovative, but the obsession with most people is silverware, and that's just part of football, especially when you're spending money and you're a big club. I've always said on it, and I always feel that, and this is from my old manager Julio, who used to talk about progression more. Obviously, we got some trophies along the way, which helps, but progression individually and collectively is the key.
Right.
And it's how long, as a group of supporters, you're able to stay with that.
Yeah.
Because Arsenal are there every season.
Exactly.
So what do you want? They will get over the line.
Right. Nathan, take it to 11 for us, mate. Good morning. Are you going to go over the line this time? The Premier League and maybe the Champions League. Good morning.
Good morning, guys. How you guys doing? I'm going to be in the doghouse for the next 2 days, so this is my last call to anyone.
Right. Okay.
I'm just... What I'm looking at this as is Arteta's done a fabulous job. From 7 years ago, what he's done is awesome. But what I'm looking at is the future. If he gives us the Premier League or the Champions League, am I seeing another manager that's done what Wenger and Fergie's done? Is he going to stay in Arsenal for 26 years?
Is he going to stay long term, Danny? What do you think, Simon? I mean, I'm sure that's furthest from his mind at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, who cares? I mean, it's here and now, isn't it? I mean, ultimately, if you build a successful team, there's no reason for you to leave. There's not many clubs bigger than Arsenal, are they? I mean, this is one of the ultimate English clubs.
Yeah.
And he's been given a huge amount of backing. He's got a wonderful stadium. So, with due respect, you could ask the same of Luis Enrique at PSG. Just worry about winning something and then worry about what happens next then when it comes.
Yeah, Nathan, before you leave us and leave us for a few days by the sounds of it, what are you going to win? You're going to win this thing in Budapest.
The Barcelona and Arsenal game, I was 21, Upper Street, watched the game at Elbow Room, and that was scary, and that put me in tears.
Yeah.
The bad thing about this game is I'm going to be in Abu Dhabi, and I think we're going to do it. I'm praying that we do it, but I just want one trophy, Premier League or the Champions League. And out of those two, I'll take the Premier League.
Fair enough. That's not greedy. I think that's fair.
Good call. Nathan, thank you. Enjoy yourself, mate. Arsenal fans everywhere, well done. You've made it to the Champions League final in Budapest. And after tonight, we'll know who you're going to face, either Paris Saint-Germain or Bayern Munich. It's 11 o'clock this Wednesday morning.
Some news coming in for you, Costy. talkSPORT understands Unai Emery is high on Real Madrid's shortlist to become their new manager. He's under contract at Villa Park since the summer of 2029. Sources in Spain believe he could be tempted by a new challenge due to Villa's financial restrictions. You know what? I was just looking back through the internet on this, and he was linked with the Real Madrid job in March, and he was linked with it again in April. So it's no surprise, really, he's been linked with it again in May. I mean, look, it wouldn't be the biggest shock in the world, would it?
No, not at all. I mean, I'll be honest with you, don't want him to go. Love him, like everything about him. I think the Villa fans would be sorely, they'd be bordering on devastation at Villa Park if they lost him. But you know something, there's the naughty part of me would love to see him handle Mbappe and Vinicius Jr. and those boys. Do you know what I mean? I think that would be really, really interesting. And there's no surprise because he is top class. Listen, he was disappointed with the level of performance his team put in yesterday. But why would he not come into their thinking to be their next manager? Because he certainly has proven it at just about every level. Arsenal aside, he has been absolutely fantastic. But Jeff, I want him to stay.
I mean, I just wonder whether that experience at Arsenal will make him feel, rightly or wrongly, that he still has something to prove within the game. And the Real Madrid is, in many respects, the ultimate challenge, isn't it? Because so many have tried, so many have failed.
talkSPORT Sports Update, powered by the Nissan van range. Scoring a winning hat-trick of performance, payload and price. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van Centre.
For your headlines at 2 minutes past 11, I'm Nick Ellaby. Good morning. Despite Arsenal's Champions League momentum, former Man City and Arsenal forward Emmanuel Adebayor still has Guardiola's side as favourites for the title here.
But trust me, it's not going to be an easy task for both of them. Let's see who win. But I wish, for the first time, Arsenal wins it because they have been working towards this for so long time.
In the Champions League, Arsenal are still undefeated, conceding just 6 goals. Danny Murphy says Arteta's done brilliant.
He's created that mentality, and he's created a team and a squad with the help of, the board and the finances, of course, but he's created a really strong mentality in that group of players that have got them to this point where they are so close.
Who will they play in the final? Bayern Munich versus PSG is live on talkSPORT tonight from 7 p.m. Now, we asked Michael Owen who should replace Mo Salah at Liverpool. He wants Jared Bowen.
West Ham, adore the man, and rightly so. But if West Ham went down, he would fit for me.
He also told talkSPORT Liverpool have pensioned Andy Robertson off too early as Milos Kerkez has not been good enough. You can catch up with Michael Owen's interview on the talkSPORT YouTube. And John Rahm doesn't see how he could get out of his Live contract even if he wanted to.
We want to be here. It's been a lot of fun. I want to keep competing. I want to keep sharing some time with them. But time will tell. Obviously, I think Scott and his team have a lot of hard work to do.
Live Golf need new investment to continue after this season following the Saudis confirming they are pulling out. More at talksport.com.
talkSPORT News.
Canary Islands won't allow a rat virus hit ship to enter its territory, and airlines have axed 13,000 flights over fuel shortages due to the Iran war. More with Emma at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. Sort your new tyres this spring at a time that suits you best from the comfort of your home or work 7 days a week with our mobile tyre fitting service. Conditions apply.
Sunny spells and a scattering of showers. Those showers confined to the far west and far east by the afternoon. Some heavy and thundery. Chilly today, temperatures below average.
Good morning, everybody. 4 minutes past 11 o'clock this Wednesday morning. Wednesday means Danny is in our midst and he's with us all the way through until 1 o'clock. Arsenal invincible Martin Keown will be in our midst when, Luke, about half past the hour. Martin Keown is going to be joining us on Arsenal's great achievement last. Well, it's a morning to have Martin on, isn't it? Why not? Let him come on and tell us exactly what he thinks of Arsenal getting to Budapest to take on either PSG or Bayern Munich. He's usually on when they've slipped up, like straight after the Bournemouth game, etc., etc.
He's in lots of times when they haven't slipped off. But listen, imagine what it's going to be like if they actually win something.
Oh, I know. Well, we will...
When they win something, not if.
We'll see what Martin's going to be like as and when that happens. We'll see what it's going to be like for Forest pundits or Villa pundits, players from the past of those two clubs, if one of those two clubs ends up winning the Europa League. And well, certainly one of them will get to the final. Of that there is no doubt, because tomorrow night, live on talkSPORT, the second leg in this all-English affair between Aston Villa and Nottingham Forest. Forest won up from the first leg. But here's the thing. Chelsea against Forest at the weekend saw a number of head clashes. There was a nasty injury to the young Chelsea player Jesse Derry, who was making his first Premier League start. That was the result of a head collision with Zach Abbott 45 minutes in, and Derry was taken to hospital for precautionary checks. In the second half, Robert Sanchez had to go off alongside Morgan Gibbs-White with their heads bandaged up following a clash. Now, if you're watching on YouTube at the moment, you'll see exactly what I mean. Regards Morgan. There he is, thumbs up, but by God, I don't think he must have felt all that great. He's posted these pictures post-match of his injuries. Quite a scar on his, quite a gash to his forehead, which was stitched up, and no doubt a bit of a broken nose as well. Post-match, Vitor Pereira, his coach, was pretty hopeful that the same Morgan Gibbs-White would feature at Villa Park.
I'm waiting. I'm not a doctor, no. I'm not a doctor, but Gibbs-White has a deep cut. We'll see if he's busy, but he's a fighter. He's a fighter. He has a strong mentality. I hope our medical department can do magic to put him in conditions, because he's important for us, very important player for us. I said to him, you don't need to use the head. You don't need to heading the balls, just to play. We'll see.
Morgan, I suppose. If there's any risk of concussion or if it's a serious...
No. I had a conversation. I think not. Yes, I think not, because I had a conversation with him. He's completely he's speaking normally. He remembers everything. The only thing is to look for the face and the pain, because he has pains now. We'll see.
I mean, Danny, Pereira said that Gibbs White's injury was not a concussion substitute, so he's not subject to strict protocols surrounding head injuries. Don't head the ball, he says. Just play, Morgan. Don't head it. Don't think about heading it. We're in dangerous territory here, are we not?
I don't think so. I mean, do we really think that the doctor at Forest or the medical team would say he's not concussed if he was? I mean, no, they're going to put the player's best interest at heart. They'll have done their assessments. They'll have asked him how he is. They'll have had the hospital checks. You can get a cut. I mean, I remember getting one. I got done here, like bad one on my cheekbone. Stephen Ireland at Villa years ago. I went to the side. I was like fine. Wasn't out. Just painful. Got it stapled at the side of the pitch. Come back on. Like you. Yeah. If he's that good, I would say to him, don't edit. Just play. No problem.
Do you think there's no problem? Is it as simple as that? I mean, but only Forest know, as Danny rightly says.
Well, if he's not, I mean, ultimately, if he's not concussed, then the argument is ended there. The aesthetics of whether he wears a face mask. We've seen players repeatedly wear face masks. We saw Sven Botman wearing one 2 or 3 weeks ago for Newcastle, coming back from an injury. Now, this injury is more recent, but that's an injury. If it hasn't induced any concussion, then that's the end of the discussion. The only protocol that's been brought into play is to assess players, take them off the field with a head injury, and to assess them for any concussion. And if they've got concussion, they can't play. If he's not been diagnosed as concussed, then the only discussion is
do they risk him?
Do they risk him in terms of, playing him because he might head a ball and might split his nose open? Well, that's a bit different than the protocol that was brought into play. The protocol that was brought into play was for head injuries and for the damage that gets done and for the repeated, CTE stuff that's become part of the staple diet of degeneration of the human brain and footballers heading balls and all this kind of stuff.
Sure.
And concussion has been introduced. Now, if he's not concussed, then we can't make a story out. There's nothing.
Well, I think some people will make a story. I think what you're saying is a suggestion that there's such a bad injury, there must be possibly some sort of concussion. The reality is...
I mean, it was a head clash.
Yeah, but you're talking about people in really privileged professional positions jeopardising their livelihood if they dare to go against the obvious, if he is concussed.
Answer me this, so Danny, you played at the highest level. Can you be told by a manager, now remember, whatever you do, don't head it? Can you actually put that into play?
Yeah, you could. If the manager says to you, don't edit it, if you're not confident, but I still want you to play, then it's on him, isn't it?
He didn't really mean that, though, did he? It was a throwaway comment from him. It was a throwaway comment based upon the fact that he was just talking about the player.
I really want you. I really need you.
I don't think it was a direct instruction to him. He said if it means he doesn't head the ball, then
in the last minute.
The fact of the matter with this here is that there is a lot of scrutiny around head injuries in football.
Yeah, there is.
Now, that's the bottom line. As you rightly say, Simon, if it ain't concussion, right, we're in a different territory, but it's still a head injury.
Yeah, but then it's individual assessment, isn't it? I mean, some players I played with would find any excuse not to play because their ankle's a bit sore or they've got a whack on the head.
Who?
Well, no, let's not go there. But the reality is some other players would need guidance and probably play after being knocked out and want to play on, and that's where the balance comes, where the medical team have to do their job. I don't think there's any particular cynicism around this. People are always concerned when players get injuries, but I don't think anyone really should be suggesting or is suggesting, from what I've not read anywhere, somebody suggesting that the medical staff at Forest are doing anything wrong.
I mean, have we really moved on from that image of Terry Butcher all these years ago with his head bandaged up and the blood seeping through it?
And John Weil at West Bromwich Albion and Brian Talbot and whoever else we've seen over the years get head injuries. Yes, of course we have, because it's created a situation where there's far more Hippocratic responsibility and far more intelligence than just the magic sponge.
Yeah.
So, and of course that is combined with the evolution of society, the value of players, the sophistication of the thinking behind the game.
Yeah.
Also, he's the captain. Like, come on. Let's look at it the other way. If he doesn't turn up in a second leg of a semi-final of a European competition because he's had a cut on his head.
That's not the point.
No, but there's got to be some resilience.
The point is, if you have this conversation with people that are behind the campaigns to get into the football world, to make sure that football owns its responsibility and looks at the people behind. You talk to Dave Watson's wife, you talk to Dawn Astle, you talk to that lady that comes on that's part of that head injury charity.
Yes.
And the intelligence behind it, they fought very hard to get 1 inch of cadence in the conversation with these clowns at the PFA and the football.
No, I accept that.
So what they don't want to do is lose any traction by diminishing the idea that there's still this idea that you can overcome it with a bulldog spirit.
Yeah.
If there is a concussion, then it's an inherent obligation upon the physio and the medical team to report it. They're breaching their Hippocratic responsibility, and they damage themselves in the game if it came out subsequently later that they had pushed a player into a circumstance.
Yeah, but this individual one, Simon, he went to hospital.
Yeah.
So you're talking about independent doctors.
I think the conversation that we're curating and can't curate is that there is a potential correlation between a head injury and a concussion.
Yeah.
Of course, there is, but in this instance, if he's got no concussion, it's a non-discussion, really.
Should there be a separation?
Yeah. Of course they should.
With the scrutiny that's on the game and on this issue.
Yeah. I mean, if we are, again, let's not pretend that we are medical experts and suggest that concussion is the precursor to every problem around head injuries.
No.
Because we're told that every repeated injuries to the head, because every time you head a ball, you're not concussed. But we are told repeated movement, whether it be a boxer being punched or a football heading a ball, creates an impact in the brain.
Yeah.
And that rapid acceleration of the head moving forward moves the brain back and forth and bunches against the skull.
Yeah.
So I would suggest to you that if we were talking to Judith now, she would be saying it's an inherent responsibility of the game to move the dial from just concussion to the lowest common denominator, which is anything around the head means an immediate step out of games. Now, the football world won't want to hear that and won't embrace it.
Yeah.
But if you were talking to the people that really know, they'd be saying, like you're saying, he shouldn't be playing.
Yeah, it's just because it featured so heavily in recent conversations, Simon, regarding the game.
Yeah, but in its broadest format, if you were talking to doctors and you were talking to that guy that came in here, that expert that drove everybody insane when he had that conversation with a rugby player, or he had a conversation with Usiama, how do I pronounce his name?
Right,
you know what I'm talking about. And he was very, very pious about things. And the battles that have been won to get football to acknowledge the existence of a challenge, because it hasn't. Yeah. Not even the union that's supposed to look after its players has supported it. So now
they made a little tiny gesture.
Well, they've been dragged there kicking and screaming. So now we are at the point where concussion accepted. I mean, of course, concussion should be accepted.
Of course.
Anyone that's concussed in their walk of life shouldn't be put back into a job.
Yeah.
Shouldn't be working on a lathe. Shouldn't be driving a car. And shouldn't be on a football field.
Right.
So they've won that battle, which shouldn't be a difficult battle to win. But really, to go to your point, a head injury probably means a jeopardy, and should the jeopardy be removed entirely? And then some people would say, well, what do you remove jeopardy out of everything then?
Yeah.
Everything has some form of jeopardy.
I mean, their heads clashed, him and Sanchez. It wasn't as if he's heading the football. But certainly in the last few moments of the game, with Forrest looking to go through and the ball drops to him at the back post, we would expect Morgan to head it, right?
He would, yeah.
And he will. Yeah. What are tennis players up to at the moment? They seem to, the top ones earn fortunes, do they not? And yet they're talking about downing tools. We'll get to that in a minute.
I promise I won't swear.
Calm down.
Right, listen, we need to get them. It's not right. It's not fair. We're getting out off here.
Well,
I just wanted to speak to you. Get that violin out. You can get that violin out all you want, right? Listen, we did not deserve that. Oi, who get that violin off there? Oi, I love you two. You know, I absolutely adore you two. I listen to you all the time. I've never called up before because I'm always busy. I used to be a milkman. I used to listen to you all the time when I was a milkman. I used to always shout out to the milkman, but I was too busy to even do it. Oi, listen, we did not deserve that at all.
Well, you're 3-1 up, Dave, right? You're 3-1 up. And within 12 seconds of kickoff, it was 3-2.
Michael Oliver didn't score.
Listen, will you tell Goldstein that I want a money match at snooker with him, please?
No, we're not telling him that.
Tell Goldstein that I want to beat him at snooker.
No, phone drive. You want to speak to Goldstein, phone drive, right?
Yeah, he's got the wrong show, mate.
No.
And you can't phone up, blowing smoke up our backsides and then say you want to... Right, listen.
Listen, I love you, Cuddy. I love your
Davo.
I love your hair transplant. I want one myself.
Davo.
I need an hair transplant
right,
myself.
Listen, leave it, Davo.
I've seen yours and I want one myself.
Davo, leave your details. I'll get you a candy deal.
Listen. I'm going to be famous one day. Yeah,
right.
Yeah. I'm a mix between Peter Kay and Roy Chubby Brown. Yeah,
right.
I'm better than both of them. Yeah.
It's that time, isn't it, when we start looking at tennis and the big tournaments that are coming up. Now we have the better weather throughout Europe. Well, not really. Everywhere in Europe seems to be raining. But having said that, in the world of tennis, the women's world number one, Sabalenka, has said that she's prepared to boycott a Grand Slam tournament if players don't receive a greater share of revenue. So the top players, and they are the top ones, Sabalenka, Yannick Sinner, Carlos Alcaraz, are amongst those who have expressed deep and collective disappointment over the prize money on offer at this year's French Open. Now, it follows a campaign launched last year from the world's top 10 in the men's and women's game, calling for a greater share of revenues generated by the 4 Grand Slam tournaments to be distributed back amongst the players. They want more of a bigger slice financially of the cake, in other words. This is Sabalenka on the prospect of, if not getting that bigger slice, boycotting Grand Slams.
I feel like without us, there wouldn't be a tournament and it wouldn't be that entertainment. So I feel like definitely we deserve to be paid more percentage. And what can I say? I just really hope that with all of the negotiations that we are having, at some point we're going to get to the right decision, to the conclusion that everyone will be happy with.
As you say, you're the show. How far do you think it could go? Do you think players would ever threaten to boycott and not play tournaments?
I think at some point we'll boycott it, yeah. I feel like that's going to be the only way to kind of like fight for our rights. We're trying our best. We're doing what we can do, and let's see how far we can get, and if it's going to take place for boycott. I feel like nowadays we girls we easily can get together and go for this, because some of the things I feel like it's really unfair to the players, and I think at some point it's going to get to this.
Top tennis broadcaster Marcus Buckland joins the show live this morning. Marcus, good morning. You heard Sabalenka there. Do you think that they will do it? That they'll hold their nerve and they'll go through with it in order to get a bigger slice of the cake?
Never in a million years, Jim. No, absolutely not. There is a precedent. Back in 1973, 81 ATP players did boycott Wimbledon over a row surrounding Nicky Pilic when he'd been banned from the event because he'd refused to play in a Davis Cup tie. That was a very different issue. I cannot see any way. They're talking about this collective power. Sure, a few of them might say it's a good idea, but no, I mean, it just is not workable. And the other problem about this, Jim, listen, I do understand the players' concerns, but it looks awful, really, when somebody like Sabalenka is complaining, because on the face of it, everyone's going to go, what is she moaning about? If she wins the French, she's going to pick up 2.8 million euros. Now, I do see why they want, as a collective body, a bigger share of the revenue. But I don't think talking about boycotting slams is the way to go about it, I'm afraid.
Well, you mentioned the French. They announced last month its prize money will increase by 9.5% to a total pot of £53.3 million, Marcus. And the singles winners, as you say, in our money, will take home 2.44 million each. That represents 15% of the projected revenue of the entire tournament. So they're saying, when it comes to that, the percentage is poor and we want more. And yet you still think maybe they've got a case, but they won't strike. They won't go all the way and boycott.
No, I think Igor Swiatek is one of those who has said it's all about communication. Yeah, you're right. In terms of the figures, they're going to get about 15% of the total revenue. Right. The French reckon they're going to make more than 400 million out of the 2 weeks at Roland Garros this time around. Now, on the regular ATP and WTA tours, the players do get around 22% of the revenue. That is what they want. Obviously, that's a sizable increase. But to threaten to boycott just doesn't make any sense, because a few of them might. But if they pull out, there's plenty of others who want to come in and play and suddenly have a much bigger chance of winning the 2.8 million themselves.
I mean, Simon, in major US sports leagues, NBA, NFL, the hockey league even, players typically share about 50% of the revenue with the athletes, with the participants. So Sabalenka and Sinner and Alcaraz are looking at that thing. We want a bit of that.
Yeah, and look at football. The players share about 90%. Look at the state of it. Look at the football clubs having to be propped up. I mean, there'd be let's get some facts into this. First of all, what a business takes is irrelevant. It's what it makes that is prevalent. So let's look at the numbers. Wimbledon takes £400 million to put its tournament on. It makes £100 million profit. So let's stop talking about percentage of turnover and start talking about percentage of margin. Unless the tennis players want to get off their backside and run the business and tell everybody how they're going to make efficiency so they can make more money. But let's look at the numbers and say that Wimbledon makes £100 million. It shares 50% of that revenue, that profit with its players, and the other 50%, 90% of it, goes into the grassroots. So what in Christ's names are they talking about? So are they suggesting that all of the profits should go to them? Are they suggesting that they're going to come in there and run Wimbledon and the French Open, which unbelievably, as unbelievable as it might sound, seems to cost 300 million to put it on for 2 weeks? There's 8,000 people that work at Wimbledon during the course of the Wimbledon 2 weeks. There is a huge amount of investment that goes into it. Of course, everything that's generated is TV revenues, is merchandise, is strawberries and cream and whatever else, right? All that comes in, all that has a cost attached to it except the broadcast revenue. So if you're making 100 million, which is what these tournaments seem to be making, and they're giving 50% of the profits that they're making to the players, what do the players think they should be being given then? Right. But put aside what they're taking. Yeah. What should they be being given, Marcus?
What motivates them here as well, Marcus?
Money.
I mean, I know it's money, but is it as barefaced as that? We want more. Give us more.
Yeah, I think what I would like to think is that the top players are trying to look after those further down the rankings, because the very best earn a lot. Obviously, if you're outside the top 50, depending where you come from, as some of them have been saying, you're living pay to pay, paycheck from paycheck. There are a lot of expenses being a tennis player as well. You've got your traveling, you've got your accommodation, you've got your physio if you can afford
They
one.
cut it up differently then. I mean, again, I make the point, Marcus, this is all background noise. What is the argument here? If the profit of the tournament is 100 million euros or 100 million pounds, which it is, and the players are getting 50% of it in prize money, the argument is, how much should they get? Should they get 70%? Should they get 80%? Should the grassroots of the sport get bugger all? Is that what these players are saying?
Sorry, Marks, one quick one on that. That can't be right. Because you can't have the #1 female tennis player in the world not being educated by someone who knows the numbers, going on national television saying they want more money when they're getting 50% of the profit.
But have you listened? Because we just sat here and characterised it. We've just done it. Marcus has just done it. We've sat here and said, it makes 400 million. It doesn't make 400 million.
She must know that.
It takes 400 million. And the facts of the matter behind it are the profits. Wimbledon announced their profits. It's not difficult to read. Wimbledon's profits are 50 million, of which it gives 90% to the LTA. Behind that, it gives 50 million to the players. So it ain't difficult, is it? There's 100 million worth of profit before the players are paid.
Yeah.
So the players are getting 50%. So put aside the imbecilic observations of a player that's not informed, and let's have an informed conversation. How much do we think, how much does Marcus think as a tennis aficionado, the players should be getting out of the profits? Because surely they're not telling us that the game isn't being run properly and they're going to go in there and run the game and make all the efficiencies.
How much more do you think they think they're due, Marcus?
Well, listen, I mean, the figures can get very confusing. They're saying that they want 22% of the total revenue. And we know at the moment, a first-round loser at Roland Garros this year will pick up 87,000 euros. I have to say that over the past few years, that figure has increased a lot, and I do feel for those lower down the rankings. I know what it's like. I know some of them. It is tough, but I think Simon's right. They've got to be a little more aware.
Pay less to the winner then. If they're so socialistic in their views, which they're not, then take less of the prize money at the back end and distribute amongst their so-called brethren. And if they want 22% of
that's 88.
So they want 90% of the profits.
Profit,
and so the industry that supported them, that provided the courts to play for them when they were kids, can get bugger all. And they can get the lot. It's nonsense. It
the
should
thing
be
is,
shut down.
It probably is nonsense, as Simon says, Marcus, because getting back to your original reaction, do they have the cojones to see it through and boycott a Grand Slam? And you say no, not in a million years.
But I mean, listen, Jim, the thing is, after what she has said yesterday, we are talking about this now. It's getting the awareness. What they ultimately want, I think, is to have proper communication, to be represented on a board, to talk about the prize money, to talk about the benefits they might get as well, all that sort of thing. So by talking in the way she has, she's opened herself up to criticism, but she has also opened up the topic for more conversation.
Should get
Marcus, as always, thank you so much. Marcus Buckland, top tennis broadcaster. I knew Marcus for years at Sky, and he's out there still on the circuit. You're disgusted by it all, aren't you?
I'm disgusted because we're not talking about it in proper terms. Because we're talking about it in a way that ultimately glorifies. And if these players want to step out of a tournament, these tournaments have been going for years. Go on, I dare you. Step out and see what happens to you, and see what happens in how quickly your place gets filled. Because Wimbledon and the French Open and the Australian Open and the US Open will still be full. We'll still have broadcast revenues, and the only people that will be sitting on the sidelines wishing they were there are those players.
Yeah,
they shouldn't. That's not.
No, but hang on, Simon. They know their worth.
Well, they can't because they're asking
know
for
the French, Wimbledon, and all these. Do they need Sabalenka? Do they need Sinner? Do they need Alcaraz?
This is the same argument. If it wasn't for the players, if it wasn't for the football clubs, if it wasn't for the tennis tournament, they'd have nowhere to play.
Yeah.
So they can sit there going, if it wasn't for us, if there was no Wimbledon, if there was no French Open, if there was no US Open, if there was no Australian Open, they'd have nowhere to play. So it's a two-way transaction. It isn't all about the players, and it isn't all about the clubs or these tournaments.
Yeah.
The players sit there. If it wasn't for us, oh really? If it wasn't for you, really? So if we didn't have a tournament that attracted the world's media and the best players, and you being one of them, you'd have nowhere to play, you imbecile.
You need to watch. You've got a bad back.
That's
got you going, hasn't it?
It's aggravated me because it's so one-dimensional.
Sabalenka's in next week, isn't she?
In where?
The studio.
Is she? Oh, yeah.
Curious.
Yeah. Simon can make his point to her then. It's just gone 11:30.
Gentlemen, good morning. Calling all the way from Sydney, Australia.
Good morning.
Lovely to speak to the supply teacher today, as the headmaster and Principal White and Jordan are not working today. Alex, you might remember me. I rang up just before the Europa Cup final last year, and you were going on about victory parades and buses and things like that. And we still managed to beat you in an awful game, but we had no Kulusevski, Bergvall and Maddison. And I did hear Adam Nathan, who you quoted, who is the purveyor of the finest gin and tonics in North London, said that you were kind of veritably choking in the quinoa bowl during the Brentford-West Ham proceedings.
He definitely doesn't eat quinoa.
Well, I'm being ironic, but the reality is this is the first month that I've gone to work in Sydney with a veritable spring in my step for quite a while. Full credit to De Zerbi. We've got a light at the end of the tunnel. I mean, I did speak to Simon and Jim 3 or 4 weeks ago, and I said that we were down, and we're not there yet. We've got a long way to go, but De Zerbi, in a short period of time, he's been clever. He hasn't imposed De Zerbi ball on them. He's gone about with the vibes, as the kids would say, boosting the morale. And, Tudor, much for lines. We got them running and fitter again, and he gave them a base for De Zerbi to play the way that they did yesterday. So, and that's for all the West Ham fans crying into their jelly deals this morning. As other messages that you've got, we've got 7, 8, 9 players out injured. Crystal Palace were out boozing it up before they played West Ham. So there's no excuse, really.
It seems Mikel Arteta's brought back the old George Graham-style hard-fought 1-0 wins in the big games, and talkSPORT's Darren Bent says it's paying off.
There's no right or wrong answer, but I think we've seen now from this Arsenal team, certainly where they are currently as we sit today, that this way is effective, and you can win major trophies, hopefully, by playing this way. It doesn't have to be pretty, and it doesn't have to be expansive.
Arsenal through to a first Champions League final in 20 years, but does that represent a significant achievement for the squad? Gabby Agbonlahor.
Don't want to be negative, but if you look at their route, deservedly finishing top of the league stage, but their route to the final, they should be in a final. Now the hard work starts, preparing for that.
Who will Arsenal face in Budapest? Bayern Munich at home to PSG is live on talkSPORT tonight from 7 p.m. Expect thrills and spills. Now, if Michael Owen could make one signing to replace Mo Salah, it would be Jared Bowen.
West Ham, adore the man, and rightly so. But if West Ham went down, he would fit for me.
Owen's also told talkSPORT Liverpool have pensioned Andy Robertson off too early. You can catch up with Owen's interview on breakfast on the talkSPORT YouTube channel or app. And John Rahm doesn't see how he could get out of his Liv contract, even if he wanted to.
We want to be here. It's been a lot of fun. I want to keep competing. I want to keep sharing some time with them. But time will tell. Obviously, I think Scott and his team have a lot of hard work to do.
Liv Golf need new investment to continue after this season, after the Saudis confirmed they're pulling out.
Good morning, everybody. Just gone 11:30. It's Jim White, Simon Jordan and Danny Murphy. Simon and Danny spend a lot of time together in this building these days. Both of them
spending time with you.
Exited the studio there to get into a nice little huddle through the other side of the glass and have a little confab. So it's I'm hearing that you were demanding biscuits there. If you're going to get a cup of tea, you'd like a biscuit or two, Danny. Well,
he wanted 88% of the biscuits.
Oh, yeah, you wanted a bigger supply.
I didn't demand them. I just queried where they were.
And here's the thing. Many occasions we have Martin Keown on this very show, and a popular guest he is too. But on many occasions, Martin joins us live.
Not a guest, he's the mainstay of the show. We won an award because of him.
Mainstay of the show, of course he is. And when Martin comes on, invariably of late, Arsenal maybe have toiled that particular weekend, like the weekend they lost at home to Bournemouth. And Martin had to come on and face the music on behalf of Arsenal, Arteta and the rest. This morning, it's a different set of circumstances because Arsenal beat Atletico last night to reach their first Champions League final in 20 long years. Arsenal invincible, Martin Keown, good morning.
Good morning, Jim. I'm here to give you a bit of love. I can see those two. It's an odd relationship, but
it is. Yes,
it's too nice, isn't it? I'm feeling a bit nauseated listening to them. I go after Simon, as you know.
Oh, yes.
He gets a cuddle from Danny. And by the way, Danny deserves some credit, of course, enormous credit. This is the first time the four of us have actually been on air together, guys. Danny feels it. Danny does the Wednesday, I do the Monday, whatever else day I do.
Yeah.
And that was it's a good effort that we keep going, telling the story. And the story last night was a great one for Arsenal, Jim.
Yeah.
And I want to talk a little bit about the fans, the entrance, what they did coming into the ground. I got caught up in that last night. It was amazing scenes outside. Something we've lost a little bit at the new ground. When we were back in the day at Highbury, Avenel Road, if you picture the scene, if you're an Arsenal fan, it was just so many people. And as you came down that road, you just felt as one with the supporters. And they recreated that last night. We've not had that front door, the two commissionaires outside Highbury. I did ask for it to be brought back, and maybe that'll happen one day. But I just thought there was a connection. And the atmosphere in the stadium, there was never a moment when the crowd went quiet. They just filled, any tension was taken away. Great support. And I'd like to personally thank Simeone for that, because I thought it was the icing on the cake, what he delivered. The fans felt wronged by his actions.
Yeah.
And there was, let me tell you, they made it very difficult. It was the fever pitch atmosphere we expected at the Emirates when we first went there.
We were speaking earlier on, Martin, and I was asking the question from the nerves and fear of a few weeks back. And there were. That was evident. We all saw it. Has a trip switch been flicked amongst the players and the fans?
Well, he picked the same team 2 games on the bounce, and I cannot remember that. I haven't got the stats for it, but it's been a lot of changes, a lot of enforced changes. I thought that the change of Miles Lewis-Skelly going into midfield, Jim, I tell you what, the manager was under pressure because Zubimendi was, he's a top player. And he, for me, it offers a little bit of balance in there, and he was magnificent. But alongside him, Declan Rice is like he's got 2 engines. It's remarkable how he gets up and down the pitch. I think he's playing now deeper, and I do feel that satisfies his game. He's there. There was really one important blocker that he got after 20 minutes the other day. He would have been in the back of the net. We'd have lost the game. He is really important at both ends. His passing, his range of passings, it's all under the bonnet, Jim, and it's all coming out. Big game at the weekend, significant for him, obviously, West Ham. 3 days now between now and then to get yourself together. A huge game. And what I like about this one, I'm calling this an equal pressure here for these two teams. West Ham have to win this game. This isn't one of those party hats, Arsenal, let's try and stop Arsenal doing something. They are fighting for Premier League survival. And you walk the street as a proud man, chest out, I play in the Premier League. You might not be next year, West Ham. So who's under more pressure in this one? Arsenal need to go there, play the way they have, and it will be an incredible atmosphere because West Ham at any time, whatever state they're in, is always a difficult game for us.
So don't you think that suits Arsenal a bit, Martin, with the West Ham predicament? Because there are times where West Ham could have shut up shop a little bit against Arsenal, tried to frustrate. We've seen that before.
100%, Danny. I just feel now they've got to go for it. I mean, obviously they've got to stay in the game, so they'll probably sit deep. They don't really go and press. they've been quite remarkable. I think they've not lost since January the 8th against Forest. Their home record until their record until last weekend would have put them in the top 5 in the Premier League.
Yeah.
So this isn't a West Ham team that's struggling. We've got an incredible situation happening at the bottom of the table, which is not normal. Everyone is now winning. West Ham, now that Spurs have picked up last 2 victories, but West Ham will respond. This is a difficult game to call, but if you want to be champions, you've got to go and take it down here, as you know.
Would it be as easy to say? I don't know. I think Jamie Carrick said, didn't he? If they win at West Ham, the league's done. Does it feel that way amongst the fan base, mine?
No, because the pressure just moves to another day. It just cracks. You know, in this last little run-in of 5 matches, we've had 3 derby games against teams in London, and I just feel it just creates that extra interest where everywhere you go, everywhere you turn, people are trying to stop you. Look at the Brentford result when they nearly turned Arsenal over. They were loving it.
Yeah.
So, another big game to follow. So you can't pick and choose. But let's not forget Arsenal have had to negotiate 2 very difficult Champions League games, Danny, in all of this.
Yeah, I said that.
Manage the minutes. Saka been taken off. People are questioning that against Fulham when they were really commanding. Something happened at the weekend and they played with so much more freedom. And Gyökeres, honestly, it's like we've just signed him.
It is.
He's running into channels. He's winning every battle. He seems to have found an extra yard in pace.
Yeah, I saw that. I don't know how that's happened, really, but it's maybe the game, maybe the little kick up the backside when he brought Havertz back in.
Maybe, but I'll tell you what now, that he knows that the fans love him. They're really behind him. And I noticed that recently he came off the bench and against Bournemouth, the game they lost. And he was running into the channels and it was like, okay, we'll take that. Do you know, if you're going to give 100%, we'll take that as a platform. But actually, since then, his performance, and I thought he was a bit unlucky with the finish, Danny. The ball's rising as it comes through. Hincapié hits that across the box with real power.
So, Martin, that final in Budapest, Bayern Munich or PSG, is there a lesser of 2 evils here?
Do you know, I think I'd like to see it with Bayern Munich, actually. They've already played each other. It was a 3-1 victory. And somehow I think Arsenal might have a better chance. The PSG are just remarkable in the way that they play. I mean, the philosophies of both managers is exactly the same, Jim. I mean, to speak to Danny on this, if we were playing in a game and we'd lost, we conceded 4 goals or 5 goals, our philosophy might change a little bit. We might not be so keen to keep attacking, but this lot just keep going. It was one of the best games I've ever seen. We're probably going to see the same again. But I'd just like to see Arsenal beat. It'd be ironic if Arsenal, with all the criticism they've taken for their style of football this season, Jim, and by the way, they are playing some football now. They pretty well run the show for an hour last night. Athletic just sat in deep, couldn't get the ball.
Yeah, when you're in here, I like taking you into different areas of discussion, and sometimes you rail against that. But here's the thing: if Arsenal win the Premier League and the Champions League, Martin, does Arteta eclipse Wenger in the greatest Arsenal managerial debate?
Well, it would be lovely to sit with you at the end of the season with Arsenal with 2 pots on the table, and we can discuss that in detail. But we're just so far, Jim, from that climbing that mountain. We can't. There's no point in discussing it, Jim, because there's nothing won yet. You've won a game, a high-profile game. It's been a magnificent evening, the best that stadium's ever seen. It's one more step forward towards success. It's about rest, recovery, and thinking about the weekend. No one's getting caught up. Certainly not me, Jim. You know how cautious I've been all the way through the season. There will still be twists and turns in this Premier League, let me tell you.
Just a quick one, Martin. Can I ask you about, I think it was Wayne Rooney, wasn't it, on about the over-celebration, blah, all that stuff?
Yes.
When you had your success at Arsenal on all those years, what's your view on that? Because I understand Wayne's to a degree because he won so much and he is a winner, but where's your views on that? What's your thoughts?
I think if you've gone a whole season in the Champions League without losing a match, it's almost 2 competitions, Danny. You play 8 games in the league basis, then it goes to a knockout, 7 if you reach the final. And I think you can applaud that. I think you can draw. I think they needed that energy. This team needs to feel a little bit of a celebration, but they boxed it off already after that match. People were talking about the game. I saw the players. It was very relaxed. No one's going big time. That was for the fans. That was to thank the fans on the night. The atmosphere was incredible. They needed a payback. And there's a better bond now between the fans and the players. But it's just another step, Danny. Nobody getting carried away at Arsenal, let me tell you.
You mentioned those Arsenal critics, Martin. Do you think there'll be a fair bit of humble pie dished out
don't really care.
At the end of the season.
I don't really care, Jim. As I said, this is the first season since Arteta's been there. I said, maybe they can win the league this year. I'll back them to win it. They still haven't done that. And with Pep in the building, and there's lots of speculation. Will he be here? Won't he? Is he even not even responding to that to create this extra energy and this drive for his team? Bernardo Silva, who's been an amazing servant for the football club, going as well. So it creates that, that finish, that final hurdle.
But in here many times, Martin, you've bristled a few times, more than a few times, when people have come at you about, no, let's get this right. Arsenal have got to show that they can do it, etc., etc. You've bristled a few times. You do care.
No, I bristle at the bottling claim, and I think it's insulting. And I heard Simon use perpetuity, the word forever, and it certainly wasn't around in my day. And if they go on and win the league and the Champions League this year, in fact, I'll take one of those trophies, Jim. I don't think that could be said about this group ever again.
Martin, brilliant. You think it's got a bit too cosy with Danny and Simon the Wednesday morning?
I don't know whether Simon is using the back complaint because he's just not happy that Arsenal are in the Champions League final. I don't know. I can't work it out. Oh, he's woken up. He's woken up.
He is here. He is here. You're not using the back complaint at all, are you?
Unfortunately, my earphones have unplugged, so I haven't had time to Keown's dribble.
Arsenal Invincible. Martin Keown, thank you so much. We'll get on to that. A couple of commissionaires at the Emirates, just like they were at Highbury. Maybe that's what they need for the Arsenal pomp and ceremony. Coming up to 10 to 12. Can you believe that?
Questing sports story of the day is to Super Ali McCoist in Ask Ali. I've got one of mine just quickly, Coisty, to start things off. Cesc Fàbregas is currently manager of Como. They are 5th in Serie A. He's been speaking today saying, of course, he wants to manage in the Premier League.
Yes.
Do you see Cesc Fàbregas as the next manager of Chelsea?
Cool. If you're Chelsea fan, you'd bite your hand off for that. If you're Cesc Fàbregas, I think you're weighing up that situation extremely carefully because of what's going on up at the top. I mean, surely he's done a great job there, man. I mean, what a job at Como, fantastic. And he will. I don't think there's any doubt that he'll manage in the top flight in England sooner rather than later. But is Chelsea right now the perfect job for Cesc Fàbregas? As I mentioned earlier, I mean, Chelsea fans would probably be salivating at the prospect of him coming and taking it, and so they should be. But I think there's warning signs at Chelsea. He'll have looked what's happened recently, Jeff, and he can't have failed to have noticed that it might not just be the perfect environment for him to start his career in England.
No.
Is that fair or harsh?
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. I just look and think, okay, where is he going to get a better opportunity?
Yeah.
It's showtime on talkSPORT with BetMGM. We're ready for the action. Are you? Visit betmgm.co.uk or download the app. 18 plus. GambleAware.org.
You bet we're ready. Ready for Alex License from BetMGM. Alex, good morning. So how about it? Champions League. Arsenal get to the final, and it's Bayern against PSG tonight. What are you thinking?
Yeah, good morning, guys.
Morning,
I agreed with what you said earlier about last night. It was a spectacle in its own way, wasn't it? I think efficient, probably the better way to describe it, but complete credit to Arsenal. They got the job done. And to be honest, I never really felt like Atletico were going to score in that second half, despite having a lot of the ball. I know Sean Martin asked you yesterday whether Arteta should go with Gyökeres or Havertz up top, and I think it's safe to say he made the right decision there. Arsenal, they're now into favourites to win it. They were 9-4 before the game yesterday behind Bayern and PSG, but they're now favourites at 5-4 as they await the winner of tonight, where I think we're all expecting and probably hoping for quite the opposite of games. Bayern as short as 8-15 to win in 90 minutes. The draw at 21-5, and then PSG quite chunky, just above 3-1. Not much value in the goals, as you would imagine, but I do suspect we'll have a few customers back in that 5-4 correct score after last week on the off chance. So if you do fancy that, it's 100-1 in favour of Bayern or 130-1 in favour of PSG. But Danny, I was wondering, do you think either of these two sides have it in them to sit back tonight, or are we just expecting a repeat of what we saw in Paris last week?
Oh, no, they'll both play the same way. They don't play it. When you watch them, they never play a different way, and both managers have said that. So I expect the end-to-end. Could be anything. Could be anything. I fancy Munich. I don't know why.
Is that tactically brilliant or tactically naive?
It's the right thing to do with the quality of players they possess. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because players enjoy doing it.
But Arsenal are favourites, you're telling us, Alex?
Arsenal, yeah, they're 5-4 favourites to win it, and then Bayern, they're 2-1 with PSG currently 5-2.
But that's only because there's a game tonight, isn't it? Whichever one goes through will become the favourite, won't they?
Yeah, you'd imagine that Arsenal will stay at 5-4 as they're in the final. So we think, whether it's Bayern or PSG go through, there will be odds on.
Okay, let's move it along to the Championship playoffs. What's your thinking there?
Yeah, it's nice to look forward to the Championship playoffs without having a horse in the race, and it all kicks off on Friday with Millwall going to Hull. Interestingly, both sides won 3-1 away from home when they met each other this season, and we've got Millwall as short as 7-20 to win the tie, with Hull out at 2-1. And then Saturday, Southampton go up to Middlesbrough, where they're actually beaten 4-0 in January early this season, but as we know, it's not the same Southampton side as the current one, who are 19 unbeaten going into this. They were 15th back then when they met with Borough, flying in second. Looking at the markets, we've actually got Millwall's favourites to go up. They're 7-4 with Southampton just behind them at 9-4, followed by Borough at 5-2, and then Hull the outsiders, as you'd expect, at 6-1. Simon, you've quite vocally backed Ipswich all season on here with us. I had to mention that, so fair play with that one. And I am unfortunately going to put you on the spot and ask you for a playoff winner.
Southampton.
Yeah, is it just a form horse? You can't see past them.
I think so. I think there's a deep-seated desire, not to mention Millwall getting promoted in the Premier League, so that might cloud my judgments. But I think Middlesbrough have picked up some form recently, but I think they are not in the same nick as they were when they beat Southampton. Southampton's manager, their play has been of such a level that I think no one wants to play them. And if they can get through this semi-final, which I think they will, listen, I'm picking them. I think they will. I think they're the team. I think the team that goes into the playoffs with the most momentum, more often than not, are the team that come through them.
What about the PGA Championship with Danny here? Go for it, Alex.
Yeah, it's the second major of the year with the PGA Championship starting next week. As we know, Scotty won it last year. Rory won the Masters, and they're top of the market, as you would expect, with Scotty at 7-2 and Rory at 13-2. But Danny, if we took both of them out of the equation, where's your money at? Who you fancy him?
Well, it's hard to look past Cam Young. He's playing the golf of his life. 2 wins already this year. Came third at the Masters. He's just so full of confidence. It's like that win he got at the end of last year took the monkey off his back, if you like, and he's playing some unbelievable golf. So I'd go Cam Young, but I would imagine his price isn't too high, is it?
We've got Cam Young 12-1 to win it, but if you're looking at sort of finishes, you got 11-4 top 5 or 6-4 for top 10.
Yeah, and then I'd have a little small bet with Xander Schauffele. We know he's won it before. He had a 9th at the Masters, 12th at the Heritage, coming back to the form we saw him where he won the 2 big ones in 2024. you can never. I just think he's probably got a bit more value, I would imagine.
Yeah, he's slightly bigger. He's 18-1 to win it, and then 15-4 top 5, 15-8 top 10. But the lads in the office who were speaking this morning, they said Brooks Koepka could be worth a look. 3-time PGA winner.
Nah,
he's had a decent year so far.
Not playing well enough.
Not having it.
No, not playing well enough. I mean, the Scheffler, I mean, I don't know what price he is, probably something stupid, but what's that? His 4th or 5th second now? He must be getting sick of doing second because he's so used.
Cameo.
You think? You reckon?
I reckon. Simon, who are you going for the PGA Championship?
Who am I going for in the PGA Championship?
Bubba Watson.
Go on.
Yeah. Nick Faldo.
Nick Faldo. Now, that would be a story, Alex, wouldn't it? Alex, thank you very much indeed. Visit betmgm.co.uk or download the app. 18 plus, begambleaware.org.
It's showtime on talkSPORT with BetMGM. Keep things golden with responsible play at betmgm.co.uk. 18 plus, gambleaware.org.
So at the moment, Arsenal sit top, 5 clear of Manchester City, who do have a game in hand. And Pep was asked, where does this leave it? In your eyes, where does this leave it all?
It's better the point than don't point, and it would have been better win the game that we needed at the point. So I know it was in our hands, in Arsenal's hands as well before that game. It depends of the goals conceded. Now it's not. So, but for responsibility, you have Brentford, saturate 3 and continue. And we'll see what happens.
So it was 3-1. It ended up 3-3. Next up for Arsenal, West Ham away. Do you, like Thierry Henry, think you better watch that one?
Of course.
You better be careful of that one.
Of course, because this isn't Tottenham rocking up to Aston Villa that couldn't even be bothered. This is West Ham that can be bothered, that will be motivated and will make it as difficult as they possibly can, because despite the fact they got battered by Brentford, there was no way that was a 3-0 game.
Yeah.
They've hit the post twice. They've had a goal disallowed. West Ham. So it was not reflective of their recent performances. So Arsenal are going to have to go and step on West Ham's throat. But I'm with Thierry Henry because I think that could actually equalise itself out in terms of Arsenal going to West Ham and getting a draw. I don't think they will. I think they've just got about enough, and they'll deal with Burnley and they'll deal with Palace, because they're Palace last game of the season to win the league. They're going to deal with them, right?
Right.
And Burnley, I mean, come on, who can't? So with that in mind, the question for me was, what were Manchester City doing? The big question for Pep Guardiola is, what were they doing for 23 minutes in that second half?
talkSPORT Sports Update, powered by the Nissan Van range, supporting van owners to get the job done. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van centre.
Good afternoon, I'm Max Scott here with your sports headlines. Arsenal may take Champions League momentum into the title race, but former Man City and Arsenal forward Emmanuel Adebayor reckons Guardiola will win it again.
Man City again dropping points at Everton. They will come back stronger. They will manage with their manager, with the players, with the experienced team they had. They will do everything possible to win the last 3 games and wait for Arsenal to drop points.
As Mikel Arteta looks to silence his critics by winning a trophy this season, Simon Jordan says it is fair to call Arteta a nearly man for now.
He's been given all the resources in the world. He's gone pound for pound, pretty much, and matched the expenditure of some of the big clubs that he's trying to rival. He's had 6 years to achieve a side that wins something. So I think, with all due respect, about time already.
PSG versus Bayern is live on talkSPORT tonight from 7 p.m. Now, Michael Owens told us he wants Liverpool's Mo Salah to be replaced by Jared Bowen.
I was lucky enough to do a striking masterclass for a TV show we did last season with him, and I couldn't believe it. Honestly, left foot, right foot, bang, 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 corners, pace. I mean, a real top finisher. I think he's a brilliant player.
Meanwhile, with Sir Alex Ferguson recovering from a health scare, Michael Owens told us they still speak on the regular.
I would expect a message on my phone any time now, because he'll see that we've got 4 or 5 runners today at Chester and he'll be wondering what's going on. Which horse should he be looking at?
And Bryson DeChambeau says he'll concentrate on being a golf YouTuber if the Live Tour collapses. His contract is up at the end of the season when the Saudis will stop funding it. Get more at talksport.com.
talkSPORT News.
3 patients have been medically evacuated from a virus-stricken cruise ship, and a travel expert tells holidaymakers not to panic as figures show 13,000 flights have been cancelled over fuel shortages. More with Amelia at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit, where we've got a wider range of premium tyres than Britain has rainy days. Visit your local centre or book at quickfit.com today.
Showers largely confined to the far west and east of the UK by the afternoon, chilly with temperatures below average.
Good afternoon, everybody. 4 minutes past 12 noon. It's Jim White, it's Simon Jordan, and it's Danny Murphy, and we are live on talkSPORT. A lot to fly through in this final hour today, and of course tomorrow. All the build-up to Aston Villa against Nottingham Forest, the second leg of the Europa League semi-final. Crystal Palace, of course, in the Europa Conference. We'll keep a very close eye on that as well. But this Saturday, 2 British knockout kings are set to collide as Fabio Wardley takes on Daniel Dubois. Let's look ahead to the big fight now with DAZN.
Big fight build-up on talkSPORT with DAZN. Watch Fabio Wardley versus Daniel Dubois. Don't blink. This Saturday, only on DAZN. Sign up now at DAZN.com.
Well, that's right. It's a fight you can watch on DAZN or listen to live on talkSPORT. We'll get to it shortly, but we're joined on the line now by former WBA super middleweight champion turned pundit George Groves, who's down in East London this lunchtime supporting an initiative, George, at the legendary East Ham Boxing Club in Newham. So what's going on down there, George? Good afternoon.
Yeah, I'm good, Jim. Good to see you. I'm here at West Ham Boxing Club, and they are getting a makeover, shall we say, of their gym over here from Volunteer It Yourself, so VIY, in association with Dulux. So Dulux are here. They're painting the gym. Guess what? They're painting it claret and blue, as you can imagine.
Right.
But I feel like they're trying to find a space that they can use their colour of the year, which I'm really excited to see. More excited to see if they can actually find somewhere that's not permitted to be exclusively claret and blue, because they do love their claret and blue over this part of the world.
Good man. So it's a West Ham Boxing Club in Newham, and it's all out. The drive, of course, is to help boxing at grassroots level, George, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, this is I grew up in West London, so I box at a Dale Youth Amateur Boxing Club, but all these clubs are very much the same, and it's not just across London, it's across the whole country, where they're almost exclusively run by volunteers, almost on a charity type basis, and it gives a place for youth and boys and girls now to come. A very low bar of entry. You haven't got a doesn't cost a lot. It doesn't, require a lot, but you come through them doors, you are required to show some discipline, some work ethic, and sometimes even a little bit of resilience. So they build skills that serve them, between the ropes, in the ring, but also, for employment and their wider lives as they grow up. So these clubs are brilliant. And this is a great initiative today where, we like them spit and sawdust gyms, Jim. We like it rough and ready. But also, we want to be proud of the place where we go every day. So it's nice to paint the walls every now and again and keep the place looking nice and spiffy. Yeah.
Excellent. Good man, George. Well done for supporting it. Simon, the fight this weekend, Wardley-Dubois, is one that you eagerly await. George, no doubt the same, but this is a proper fight in your eyes.
Well, I think it has the potential to be one of the best heavyweight fights we've seen on these shores. It has all the ingredients. 2 British fighters in a British ring with British fans for a world title. Both of them can punch. Both of them have got 95% knockout ratios. Both of them come with challenges in terms of how they can be overcome. Daniel Dubois has shown fragility at times in terms of maybe overcoming adversity. Fabio Wardley hasn't been in with the quality of opposition besides the victory over Joseph Parker, which was commendable, but Joseph Parker took a fight that he didn't need to take and fought in a way that he should never have fought, but it shouldn't take anything away from Fabio. But all that combines into an absolutely entrancing fight, a real heavyweight fight with real jeopardy, and someone's going to get knocked out or battered into submission. And that's what people go to watch heavyweight fights for.
Are you as upbeat as Simon is about this fight, George? How do you see it?
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it, Jim. It's going to be a strange one to try and really confidently pick a winner, I believe, because Fabio Wardley goes against the odds time and time again and surprises people with, his wins. Now heavyweight champion of the world. He's yet to have a world championship fight, but he's champion of the world, and he's going to know that he needs to win against Dubois to really feel like a full world champion. And Dubois, as Jordan sort of said, at times has shown a little bit of vulnerability, but he had that incredible win against Anthony Joshua where he was, definitely the underdog going into that, hadn't boxed on that sort of stage and put in a fantastic performance. So he's got that, in his locker. Wardley, time and time again, has come from behind even to create a sensational win. 2 Brits, heavyweights, it's you can't, what's not to like,
Yeah, exactly. 2 Brits like yourself and Carl Froch, when you battled it out in the day. Here's the thing, George. If there are doubts about either one or both, if there are question marks about either one or both, what are they and about whom?
Well, I feel there's going to, for quite a while, or maybe forever, you might not be able to shake it. There'll be question marks over the talent, should we say, of Fabio Wardley, because he's come from white-collar boxing and he's a big, strong, effective with his strength fighter. He's got a good chin. He's got amazing power. But will he have the boxing finesse to compete with the top guys? And we've seen Dubois a couple of times where when he has been beat, as he left it all in the ring, and maybe that's just a bit harsh, but maybe not. And if you're the opponent of that guy, then that's what you're going to be leaning into. That's what you're going to be digging into. You might be trying to find chinks in the armor before the fight night, or maybe even just on the night. That's what's keeping you in there. So I think Dubois will know that he's got incredible power. Maybe the hardest puncher in boxing right now, but that might not be enough for Fabio Wardley, who's got a great chin and comes again. And Wardley might be thinking, I've seen Dubois get beat. Was it him calling it a night before it was over? Or maybe not. But it's all going to be up for grabs.
I think it is. I think
it could swing both ways. It could, one guy could be on top and then they come again. They've both pulled out some stellar performances, come from behind as well in major fights in their career. So let's see. It might be who wants it most, and we love them sort of fights. So let's show us who wants it most.
Who wants it more? I mean, Simon, are you leaning towards one of the two at the moment?
I don't normally have a big enough trap about who I think is going to win or lose, and it's always the kiss of death. Neither one of those fighters want me to pick them. When I was talking to Spencer, Paul Smith and Duke McKenzie yesterday, it was interesting that Spencer and Duke had gone with Fabio Wardley and Paul went with Daniel Dubois. To me, the fact that Fabio's never lost is a big component part. But if he hangs his chin out like he did against Justice Hooney and against Joseph Parker and Fraser Clark, then you've got to believe that Daniel's going to hit him. And with Daniel's power, the big question is, can he take it? Can he take Daniel's power? Because I don't think they're going to be difficult to find, either one of them. There's a school of thought which says that maybe Fabio's going to try and box him for the first 3 rounds, then drag him into a deeper fight, and then drag him into deep waters where he doesn't think that Daniel Dubois likes it when it gets ugly and hard.
Yeah.
Whereas Daniel's fought against Filip Hrgović, and it did get hard and ugly.
Yeah.
And he did come through it. So it's a fascinating fight.
George, in the little time we have left, pick me a winner, and then I'll throw something else at you. But pick me a winner. Come on, I'm going to put you in the spot. Who wins it?
I think Fabio Wardley. I think I'll make him the favourite. Like, if that's as close as I can go to picking a winner, I'm going to make him the favourite.
Yeah.
Just because of momentum right now. Dubois, he climbed his mountain against Joshua. He then fell off the mountain against Usyk.
Yeah.
Let's see if he survived the fall.
And finally, you're down at the legendary West Ham Boxing Club in Newham. Are you going to be picking up a paintbrush yourself? Spruce up the place.
Oh, absolutely. I'll have a paintbrush in each hand, Jim. You know, nothing can stop me.
Good man. George Groves, as always good to speak to you. Thank you so much. That was a look ahead to Wardley Dubois with DAZN. Don't forget, you can watch it live this Saturday only on DAZN. It's live in talkSPORT too, but you can watch it on DAZN. Buy now at DAZN.com.
Big fight build-up on talkSPORT with DAZN. Watch Fabio Wardley versus Daniel Dubois. Don't blink. This Saturday, only on DAZN. Sign up now at DAZN.com.
Michael Carrick feels very comfortable being the Manchester United manager. He looks as if he wants the job. He doesn't get flustered by the fact that he has to wear that blazer and walk down that touchline. He's a natural fit for it, and he said that yesterday, that it feels quite natural for him. This was him speaking after the game yesterday.
It's been a good run, I think. You know, we've obviously beat some very, very good teams, and it's been challenging. You know, sometimes we won it in some ways, sometimes we've got to win in other ways, but. Yeah, listen, I love doing what I'm doing. You know, it's a great position for me to be, and it feels pretty natural. If I'm totally honest, I'm not being blasé, because it's a difficult role, but it feels that I've been here a long time in different times, on and off. But I kind of understand what it brings, and to be sat in this position is a good position to be.
James, just following on from that, Michael, will you be disappointed now if you don't get this job?
We'll have to wait and see, you know. All we can do, I think, when we came in, I think Champions League, to be honest, was a little bit in a distance, and we wanted to try and get back into Europe. So to be where we are, the one the players have put together with 3 games to spare is a good achievement. I see it as just being a step, though. You know, we're not over celebrating it, but. Whatever's going to happen is going to happen. You know, I can only do my best for the club and for the players, especially, and try and help them as best as we can, and then see what happens after.
It's the best run that Manchester United have been on since March 2019. Ten Hag did have a 9-game all competitions winning run in late 2022, early 2023, 8 in 10 in the Premier League, but none of them has produced as many as 10 wins in a rolling 14-game Premier League window.
You are listening to Jim White and Simon Jordan along with Danny Murphy. We're live in talkSPORT with Selco Builders Warehouse. Check out this month's real deals at selcobw.com. We're now officially in the territory of Wednesday lunchtime. One thing's for sure, we watch footballers when they play, like Arsenal against Atletico Madrid last night. Watch it very closely. We watch footballers when they don't play. We watch them all the damn time. Like Real Madrid striker Kylian Mbappe, who has faced criticism from his own fans after taking a trip to Italy on a mega yacht with his partner. He's recovering from a hamstring injury he suffered on April the 24th and was given some days off last week. He arrived back in Madrid on Sunday, shortly before kickoff, when Madrid played away against Espanyol. Many fans thought Mbappe should not have taken a break and should have stuck with the team, going through a difficult time at this particular time. Alvaro Arbeloa said, well, in their free time, each player does what they see fit, and I don't get involved with that. Mbappe's representative said part of the criticism was based on an over-interpretation of elements related to a recovery period, strictly supervised by the club, without reflecting the reality of Kylian's commitment and the work that he puts in every day for the team. So that was Mbappe and Real Madrid. But then there's Liverpool. What was going on with them? Danny's old club. Liverpool captain Virgil van Dijk had to defend some of his teammates who were criticised for being abroad last week on a day off as they headed into the Manchester United game, a game they ultimately lost by 3-2. It was put to Van Dijk that some of his teammates had gone on holiday last week. He says, I'm not sure it was a holiday, it was a city trip. But I think if you're one day off and you don't have many days off, then you decide what you want to do with your family. We're not kids. Everyone's an adult. I wish we had a couple more days off at times because I think it works both ways. Danny, are we really now at the point where there is no worse optic than footballers going on holiday and having a bit of downtime during a season?
I think it's dependent. I think different players, different teams, it's more easy to do when things are going well and you're playing great and competing. It's nobody really bats an eyelid, but when you're struggling, you're going to cause more problems for yourself. I think that's where good management comes in. I can only recall my own experiences. Julio was very adamant on certain times about stuff like that. If he gave you a couple of days off, he'd specify don't go abroad. Like, really?
He told you not, because of the very element of what we're talking about here, the optics.
Yeah. And especially to the foreign lads who thought, oh, I'll nip home for a day or two. He would nail it. And he would lead us. And I think young men need leading because it's easy when now and you've got that much dough to jump on a private plane and go off. And so I think it's individual cases. I don't think there's a generic rule. I mean, because I'm amazed at Arbeloa saying, I mean, Mbappe, to be fair, I mean, no one can question what he's done and 41 goals in 41 games. It's hardly whatever he's doing right. Do you know what I mean?
And he's recovering from injury.
Yeah, and that would have been in conjunction with the medical team and the people. But the manager should be leading that. Good managers lead and guide players who need guiding. Young millionaire men with big egos need guiding.
Oh, you're going to tell Mbappe, are you?
No,
someone's going to tell Mbappe that he shouldn't do precisely what Mbappe wants to do.
No, but my point is I wouldn't have a problem with Mbappe going off because he's recovering from an injury.
He doesn't have a problem with it.
Who?
The problem, the manager.
Nor would I.
The problem is
that's why I said
supporters have a problem with it.
Is that Real Madrid as a team are not
struggling. Yeah,
exactly.
Him being at a game,
and the fans are reading. Spanish footballers refuse to go on planes to play abroad in overseas games. Spanish footballers and top footballers are spending too much time travelling and don't want to be on planes to play in overseas games and don't want to be on in this fixture and that fixture because they're overused, and yet they're able to jump on private jets indiscriminately and go and sit on a boat on a yacht. So all parts, it's part of the territory. You are front page news, you are back page news, you are paid like superstars. Your sport is unique. It's not a movie star comparison because movie stars don't come from the background of people supporting a movie star team. People own football. Fans tell you that they own football. So by definition, they own what goes on inside their team. They believe that everything should be the way that they think it should be. You want to get paid hundreds of millions of pounds? You want to be superstars and go with that? Then just get on with the fact that there's going to be a bit of criticism, as unjust as it might be, and it's probably a perfectly legitimate reason to go and have some R&R As long as your performances on the field are commensurate with a top-level footballer, and then just ignore the background noise.
Yeah, and also, you do get to an age where you are. I'm kind of dismissing all footballers and saying they're not capable of making good decisions. As you go through your career, you start making more informed decisions. If you lose to Man U or Everton as a Liverpool player, you're not going to then go out and be in a nightclub that night. It just won't happen.
We saw those informed decisions when Gareth Barry was driving around in a taxi when he was at West Bromwich Albion, right? Senior player. So it doesn't necessarily doesn't necessarily afford or called poor behaviour or bad judgment or ill-advised decisions by young players. It's across the industry because they're institutionalised and they're told they can do as they want when they want.
But Van Dijk, though, Danny says, you see Pep giving City players 3 days off. 3 days off in a row last week, and they're doing pretty well. But the fact of the matter is, this was Liverpool players going into the game, which is arguably the biggest one in the season against Manchester United, and they're under the cosh a bit.
Well, it's not good optics because if you're only got, did he say 1 day off? So on that
one day.
1 day you're jetting, going somewhere and jetting back and all that.
Yeah.
Not the end of the world.
What would have happened here? Would a group of the players got together and said, we're gonna go off out to whatever it was they went?
Yeah, do you fancy this?
But you would have said, what you're saying is Houllier would have jumped in and said, no, that's not going to look good. Don't do that.
Well, I mean, Slot probably, he might not have known, but he should know. And the reality is they had won the last 3 games, so maybe it felt like, we're all right,
Yeah.
But I think that's a bit misguided, that decision from
the players. The players will rightly so, because of the world that they inhabit. They don't inhabit the world of a normal, average person that has to do things in an average way. They inhabit their own world. So they will forget that this industry and this life affords them such remarkable rewards. I don't just mean economically. I mean in every aspect of their life, from being lauded and applauded, to living rarefied air, to doing a job that most people would die for, to being able to be in a situation where economically they never have to work again. And with that comes, maybe you're going to accept that you can't do things that your finances allow you to do, or the optics of doing something might be something that you shouldn't do. But they don't want to accept all that. They want to be sat in a corner where it's only the positive column. And the credit column is all they're interested in, and the debit column is nothing for them. And when you listen to other aspects of how hard they work or how hard football managers work, it makes me gag half the time, because I know what people do in the real life when it comes to hard work and what hard work really looks like. Tell that to a guy digging a ditch about what
on the flip side, I think a lot of these stories have become less, more isolated stories. I think there's a lot of players now who do. I mean, players live their lives now better than they ever have before. In terms of some of them having their own chefs, some of them are having their own.
Because they can't not do now, because the level of attainment has to be
because
so
they earn
high.
shed loads. But the fact of the matter, even at Mbappe level, they're going into a game against Espanyol, and some Real Madrid fans will have paid their way to go and see them play at Espanyol. A game they won by 2 goals to 0. There was no Mbappe. But the fact of the matter remains, front pages of newspapers in Spain, there's Mbappe on a luxury yacht. And they're 11 points behind Barcelona.
Yeah, but what could he do by being at the game? What's he going to do? Come on, lads, in the dressing room. It makes no difference having an injured player there.
But do you not think this would...
But it's the optics. But they want to see Mbappe sitting on the sidelines, shouting on someone who's playing that game for Real Madrid.
No, they wouldn't even think about it. If Madrid were winning the league by 10 points, it wouldn't even be a discussion.
Exactly.
If Liverpool were winning the league...
That's the point, though, Simon.
No, but the other thing...
It's not about Mbappe being on a private jet or the optics of it. It's about the team not winning over the course of the season. So if Mbappe had not contributed 41 goals, were sitting on a private jet every other week, but the team was winning the league, you wouldn't be seeing this.
No, of course you wouldn't. But that's the very point we're making. That's why Houllier was right and Alvaro Arbeloa is wrong here.
Well, I don't know. The Mbappe one, the other thing you never know is there's certain times where some managers want the injured players to come with the teams, right?
Yeah.
Well, let's say an injured player has recently had a knee injury and it swells up through travel. The last thing you're going to be doing is saying, sit on the coach with the boys for 3 hours. Because how's that for
the fans that let's have it right. Let's have it right. The fans don't want to see Mbappe there, and they don't particularly want to see him on a yacht. The media want to see him on a yacht so they can engender a reaction from the fans. Because I don't, with due respect, if the team were winning, they wouldn't care if he was sat in the stadium.
But that's the point.
But we make them care. The media makes them care. The media creates a story. The fact he's on a private yacht or he's in the stadium is neither here nor there to the fan. If their team were winning, so we've created that problem.
But it is a story, because that's why Houllier intervened in a matter like this.
Yeah, because he's very aware of the perception.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but that's why I said I think
Guardiola doesn't. But Guardiola doesn't.
Yeah. for the very reason that you just spelled out earlier on, Simon, that those fans of Real Madrid know Mbappe earns phone numbers that they could never have dreamed of earning, and knows Mbappe. Yes, he's done well individually, but the team hasn't. And knows Mbappe has chosen to be away from the team for a good few days to sit in his backside in a luxury yacht, which is in his gift to do because he's injured. But it's the optics of it.
Yeah, it's not good.
Well, it's a tragedy, isn't it? It's a tragedy of the world that we live in, that the only thing that really matters is the optics, because that's why we've got the politicians that we've got. That's why we've got the society that we live in, because it doesn't really matter about the substance of something. It only matters about the optics.
Well, we know that through
We're having a meltdown. Where this is a crisis.
It wasn't the best idea for Liverpool fans, was it really, for Liverpool players, really, to nick off for a day together in the build-up to the game against Manchester United?
Nope, and it's not something that would have happened, I don't think, when I was playing.
And again, like the Real Madrid situation, if it was Liverpool who was leading the way at the top of their division, if it was Real Madrid who were leading the way, it wouldn't really have engendered such a response.
Well, if you go back, I mean, obviously social media's changed everything, but you remember the great Liverpool teams. I got told about the Sunesi and Rushy, all of the success. They had as big a drinking culture as anyone. But the reason they were allowed, because they kept winning.
Yeah.
Nobody cared.
Yeah.
And it's only those things come up and get highlighted when you're not doing well.
Exactly. Just as well, we were here on Monday and didn't take Bank Holiday Monday off, wasn't it? We're live in Talk Sport with Selco Builders Warehouse. Check out this month's real deals at selcobw.com.
It's not my fault that you're fighting relegation.
It's not our fault, you crap.
No,
don't
crap.
blame Spurs.
No, I'm not blaming Spurs. I'm not blaming Spurs, right? But you lot, you bunch of absolute, I can't tell you what, celebrating people. Ole, ole, Spurs, away, ole, ole. You lot are shameless. Absolutely shameless.
It's just who we are, mate.
I mean...
Good team, Forrest.
I mean, well played.
A good team.
Do you know what?
A good team.
Here's the stats.
Are you coming with stats?
No, I know, but this is actually quite damning.
Now, what's happened to you lot?
Listen,
what's happened?
This is quite damning.
What's happening? Next season, you going down?
Hold on, this is quite damning. All right. Forest, they are joint. We are currently on statistics the worst side last 6 games of the league.
Yeah, bottom.
Forest, I think they're joint top with Leeds.
Good team. We're a good team, mate.
Bournemouth. City, you can write them off as well. That was poor. No, I don't even put them in.
Big Callum McFarlane doing bits. He's doing bits, mate. You should sort of keep him on. He's doing all right, you know. Doing all right. Doing all right, Big Cal.
Leave Big Cow alone.
Big Mac.
Leave Big Mac alone.
Let's keep Big Mac in there.
Leave Big Mac and chips alone.
You're garbage.
We are garbage.
It's seems Mikel Arteta's brought back the old George Graham-style hard-fought 1-0 wins in the big games, and talkSPORT's Darren Bent says it's paying off.
There's no right or wrong answer. I think we've seen now from this Arsenal team, certainly where they are currently as we sit today, that this way is effective and you can win major trophies, hopefully, by playing this way. It doesn't have to be pretty and it doesn't have to be expansive.
Arsenal through to a first Champions League final in 20 years, but does that represent a significant achievement for the squad? Gabby Agbonlahor.
Don't want to be negative, but if you look at their route, deservedly finishing top of the league stage, but their route to the final, they should be in a final. Now the hard work starts, preparing for that.
Who will Arsenal face in Budapest? Bayern Munich at home to PSG is live on talkSPORT tonight from 7 p.m. Expect thrills and spills. Now, if Michael Owen could make one signing to replace Mo Salah, it would be Jared Bowen.
West Ham, you know, adore the man, and rightly so. But if West Ham went down, he would fit for me.
Owen's also told talkSPORT Liverpool have pensioned Andy Robertson off too early. You can catch up with Owen's interview on breakfast on the talkSPORT YouTube channel or app. And John Rahm doesn't see how he could get out of his Live contract even if he wanted to.
We want to be here. It's been a lot of fun. I want to keep competing. I want to keep sharing some time with them. But time will tell. Obviously, I think Scott and his team have a lot of hard work to do.
Live Golf need new investment to continue after this season, after the Saudis confirmed they're pulling out.
Wednesday lunchtime. It's Jim White, it's Simon Jordan, and it's Danny Murphy. We're live on talkSPORT. We know managers come and go in the world of football. My God, just ask Liam Rosenior about that one. In the world of rugby, maybe not so. Steve Borthwick, we are assured, will remain as England's head coach through to the 2027 World Cup after the conclusion of a 2-month review into the team's worst ever Six Nations campaign. England's only win was an opening round victory over the Welsh, but defeats in their other 4 games constituted England's worst performance since the tournament's expansion from the Five Nations in 2000. They finished second from bottom, below Italy. And now, after a 2-month review, they've said no. He carries on. The review oversaw a dissection of England's performance carried out by an unnamed panel of rugby figures who interview coaches and players. talkSPORT's rugby commentator Andrew McKenna joins us live. Andrew, you weren't one of those in that unnamed panel of rugby figures, were you?
Oh, I wish I was. Imagine the lunches on that. No,
yeah,
they've been a spectacular panel because they've been around for a while in terms of English rugby. They've been using panels like this before, but they never tell us who is on them. And the reason being they don't want external pressure put on those people. They want them to be able to go and do their jobs. But with the media age that we live in now, those people are becoming under greater pressure, shall we say, to find out who they are.
So Andrew, can you explain to us how Borthwick has seemingly emerged from, quotes, an honest and challenging review with his position strengthened?
So essentially, I view this in a lot of similarities to England cricket and Brendan McCullum with the Ashes. Mistakes were made, but aren't people entitled to make mistakes nowadays? And more importantly, are they not entitled to learn from those mistakes anymore? And I think Danny is partially right. There is an element that with media as it is now and the public demand, the answer is no. But I think there's still a great deal of goodwill within the sport that, yes, mistakes were made. So as long as within that review, the England hierarchy have accepted those mistakes and are willing to make changes in the way that Brendan McCullum seemingly has done so with the cricket team, then I'm not surprised that the review has backed Steve and his team to carry on. But yeah, I mean, there was a bit of a shock horror moment. People marking their own homework said they got the answers right.
Andrew, wasn't the form of the team pretty good up until or just before the Six Nations?
Yes, they were on a brilliant run, 12 wins in a row, and then all of a sudden it fell off of a cliff. And that's the question that everyone's been wanting to deal with and answer, is how did that happen? Well, there were certain little tweaks within the coaching setup, certain little changes that were made, but surely they couldn't have led to the kind of catastrophic fall away that happened. So that's what's been looked at. But yeah, absolutely. A team that were fantastic at one point suddenly became horrendous the next. And I guess always brings us back to that point. You're never as good as you think you are, and you're never as bad as you think you are.
So a team that was doing really well, on the big moment and the big stage, it went wrong. You used the word horrendous. So what did he do right to ensure a strengthening of his position?
I think what they've been looking at, as said, is we are integrating a couple of new things. So Lee Blackett has only been relatively recently installed as the attack coach. The attack for four of those 5 Six Nations games was awful. The game against France at the end was considerably better. So they'll be saying, we need to give Lee Blackett more time. Richard Wigglesworth took over the defence for the tournament, having never been a defence coach before. So they'll say, we need to give him more time to establish what he's trying to do. So I think potentially that is why we've got to this situation to say, look, there's been a lot of churn, there's been a lot of issues going on. We now need to actually give those seeds that we've planted a chance to grow into the finished product.
I mean, what is this, Simon? Is this in your eyes? I don't know if it is in mine. Is this refreshing that they look at it top to bottom, takes them 2 months, say, nah, there's enough here to carry on with Borthwick?
Yeah, I mean, if there's enough in the credit and development column, then the nuance. I mean, listen, the Six Nations was appalling. I mean, they might have put up a commendable performance against the French, but they still lost. To lose to the Italians, irrespective of how strong the Italians are now becoming, is still losing to a moderately minnowish. I know they're not minnows like San Marino or Faroe Islands.
No, but you're right.
But to lose to the Italians was a very poor result. Yeah. They went into this tournament with, I think, 12 victories on the run. Most of them at Twickenham. The criticism was that they were only winning games at Twickenham. I mean, he went into the last World Cup under huge pressure. Results weren't great there. The World Cup offered up some consolation in terms of England did better than they anticipated.
Yeah,
I guess it leans towards, Andrew, the idea that what's the alternative and what's better, and is there enough that they've seen from him that illustrate that when it comes to tournaments, because the Six Nations is a tournament, the World Cup is a tournament, that he's really capable of achieving things in tournaments that this particular tournament didn't illustrate. Is that where they've come to some sort of conclusion?
There are certainly some reporters suggesting there is an element of keeping Steve in place until after the next World Cup because there aren't that many candidates available here and now. Just like in football, a lot of international sport, they work on these 4-year cycles. So if they are thinking of removing Steve, there will be more options available after the 2027 World Cup. But England proved by installing Steve in actually a very similar time frame to where we are now when they removed Eddie Jones. They have done it before, but this was the same group who installed Steve when they removed Eddie, who would now be removing Steve. So they would therefore, in effect, be saying, we made a mistake ourselves. And we know there's an awful lot of governing bodies don't like to admit that they made mistakes. But yesterday's statement was quite entertaining in a way, because they actually said there was more than just one issue that caused the Six Nations problems. They obviously didn't want to name anything, put anything out there publicly. But by saying that, they were effectively saying there's more than one problem here. And then they went on to say, we don't want to say what we discovered was wrong as it might help other teams against us. Lads, I don't know if you've noticed, but you've just had your worst ever Six Nations. I think the opposition might have already spotted those issues.
Absolutely. So what do you think the minimum requirement is from Borthwick and his backroom staff? and England at the 2027 World Cup in order for him to come out still looking good and still feeling in charge?
For a World Cup, then you've got to be looking at semi-finals. For the Six Nations that's going to come up, a significant improvement. I think the reason this has been announced now is they've got a very difficult summer. A new tournament has been brought in called the Nations Cup. Previously, nations would go, say, to Australia and play 3 tests against Australia, or South Africa, play 3 games there, Argentina play 3 games there. They've introduced this new tournament. And frankly, it's bizarre, to say the least. So England, as their 3 summer games, will fly to Johannesburg, play South Africa at altitude, fly back to England to play Fiji at the Hill Dickinson Stadium, Everton, and then fly to Buenos Aires to play Argentina in 3 consecutive weeks. As a result, there are suggestions that England are going to mix and match their squads for those games to try and give the players a bit of a break, as you would imagine. So I don't think they could place too much credence on what happens this summer. Therefore, you're looking at the next Six Nations going into the World Cup. Therefore, they've got to be going certainly top 3 in the Six Nations and semi-finals of the World Cup. This World Cup, they will not have as easy a ride as the last one. Remember, the way the draw was done for their tournament in France, England got the easiest half of the group, the easier side of the draw, and therefore didn't have to be anyone of real note to get to the semi-final. This is going to be much harder next time round.
Okay. Andrew, thank you very much indeed. England get the easier side of the draw. I mean, doesn't that happen
every tournament?
I'm not going there. I'm not going there. We're live in talkSPORT with Selco, where the trade goes.
And what about Victor Gyökeres? Do we need to give him a handshake and say, well done? The last Arsenal player to score 20-plus goals in their debut season was Alexis Sanchez, 2014-15. Wow. Only Erling Haaland and Igor Thiago have scored more goals than Gyökeres this season.
Yeah, I guess if you're still being ultra critical, you would say, is that a word? Hypercritical, you would say ultra critical. There you go. You would say that he still gets his goals against the lesser lights in the Premier League. Can you bank on him to score in the big games? Could you bank on him against Atletico in midweek? Probably not. So, yeah, I think 20 goals comes with a little bit of a caveat just in terms of the class of opponent he tends to score against.
It does, but I think you also have to remember 20 goals is still 20 goals in the Premier League. If you're scoring 20 goals in the Premier League, you're doing a good job. Even though they've come against Leeds, Nottingham Forest, Burnley, Everton, Leeds, Sunderland, Tottenham, Everton, Bournemouth, and Fulham. Does that dim the achievement then?
So Bournemouth and Fulham, the only top half teams that he scored against, is that right?
Mm.
Yeah. I think it does dim the achievement because they didn't pay the money for Victor Gyökeres to score against Leeds, with the greatest respect in the world.
Mm. Well, interesting. I think he's done a pretty good job, to be honest with you. West Ham away.
Him or Šeško? Because obviously that was the balancing act between a lot of clubs in the summer.
I told you that from the beginning, Šeško. Yeah. All day. Leaner, faster, quicker, sharper in front of goal. Got something. I think Gyökeres is a good player, but Šeško's a lot younger. There's a higher...
All the talk, of course, is Arsenal getting themselves to a Champions League final in Budapest, and they will play either Bayern Munich or Paris Saint-Germain. But here, the Premier League title race is a cracker as well. And Manchester City, if they overcome Brentford this weekend, will go to within 2 points of Arsenal at the top. Arsenal play Sunday, of course, at the London Stadium against West Ham United. But when you look at Manchester City, Phil Foden has struggled for form, failing to score in his past 27 matches for club and country. And yet the same Phil Foden has agreed a new 4-year contract with City, keeping him at the Etihad until 2030. Should we be surprised by that? I mean, it was only back in February when Pep Guardiola opened up on his feelings for Foden.
Step by step, we'll be back. He's my son. He's our son. So I try to protect him and be his best. Of course, we need his best, to come back where we are. Because he's a human being, and I have a 7, 8, 9 years of career that sometimes you have up and downs. So it's simple as that. I'm not going to be the one who's going to doubt about the quality for Phil and how important he is.
So it's a 4-year deal for Foden at City, Danny. You heard Pep, careers are all about ups and downs. But can Manchester City and Pep rediscover the real Phil Foden?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the class is permanent. He's a classy footballer who's got bundles of ability. We've seen that when he won Player of the Year and he got 27 goals that season. Even last year in a lesser successful season for him, he got 13, which isn't to his level. The problem is when you've set this wonderfully high bar for yourself as a super talent and then you fall below it, the critics are going to come. He's got a manager who's probably one of the harshest at doing this with players. He's done it. I remember John Stones after being brilliant and getting binned. Jack Grealish, great season, winning the treble. Bam. He's ruthless, Pep. He's really ruthless. There's no loyalty there. Cherky's come in, whatever. We don't know what's going on in training. We don't know. Foden's talked about some problems off the field before.
Yeah.
So there's lots of things we don't know and we're guessing. What we aren't guessing about is Phil Foden's talent. So, yeah, he'll come back. He'll be back. Because
did alarm bells ring for you, Danny, when he said after the cup final defeat by Palace, I've had a lot of things going on off the pitch mentally. Sometimes there are things in life that are bigger than football.
No, I think refreshingly honest. I'm not sure whether sometimes when you're playing you need to share that stuff. But he was honest about it, so we don't know what they are. And young players, he is still, I think he's only 25. He's been around forever, hasn't he? Things happen that affect your game. I had my own. I remember failing at Tottenham and people questioning me, rightly so, because I didn't make an impact. But I was dealing with something. I didn't share it because that's not the way I was. But it happens to players. So is he a wonderful footballer? Yes. He obviously is valued by the club and the hierarchy because they've just offered him, I'm sure, a monster deal to get him to 2030.
Yeah.
And what manager, if Pep leaves this summer coming in, wouldn't want him? He can play anywhere. He can score goals. He can make... Even this season, where he's been... Well, the last couple of months, 2 or 3 months, he's just been completely disregarded. Maybe something's happened, but he's still got 10 goals. 10 goals as an attacking player, as a wide player, a number 10 or whatever, is still more than a lot of players who are playing every week in the Prem who are supposed to be doing better. So,
I mean, he has, as Danny says, I mean, he is still only 25, Simon. He's played over 200 games.
Sure, but he's got 117 kids, hasn't he? He's 25, 26 years of age. We've all got challenges in our lives. You don't get to have a pass in perpetuity. You've got to compartmentalize your life. You've got, no one turns around and says, well, actually, the owner of the club's having a bad week. His business aren't going somewhere where you can't get your wages this week. They wouldn't that be. So you've got to play. You've got to perform your way through it. He's 25. You offer him a new contract. Will also protect the asset. I don't know what his contractual status was that they've just offered a new deal on. But I don't suppose it was just about giving him more money. I suppose about securing the asset. And if indeed Phil Foden continues on this trajectory where he isn't at the level that he once was, then Man City will still want to capitalise on some economic value in him. So it's up to him, isn't it? It's up to him, Phil Foden. He's never really shone for England, has he?
No.
They've played him in the wrong position a lot of the time. And when he was played in the right position over in the European Championships, he didn't do much. So he's got to do more. But it's the standard is so high at Manchester City, in terms of the expectations. And he's absolutely right. But loyalty is not... Players don't show loyalty. It's not about loyalty. It's about what can you do for me now? You get some currency.
about whether you've done something in the past that gives you a bit of latitude, but managers and players have got to be able to deliver in the here and now because the football world demands of it.
Yeah. He had 1 year left, actually, Simon, on his previous deal.
Well, there's your answer then.
So there's the answer. But Ryan Cherky coming in, Danny, and taking his place in the team, surely a good thing, is it not? If you're Foden, you're like, right, there's competition here for this spot.
Well, it's inevitable at a big club. You constantly, every summer or transfer window, think who's coming in, and then you have to raise your game. That's the test. That's where the best players rise and kick on.
Yeah. We always talk about overhyping players, and in the media we are guilty of doing that. Of that there is no doubt. But is this one example of a player that nobody overhyped? Because he's lived up to it. The fact of the matter is, Phil Foden can play.
Yeah, I think he's a very special player, but he's fallen away from the level he showed. That the season where he hit the heights, he was phenomenal. And that's what everyone was expecting him to get to. So he didn't fail anybody. He actually grew. He stayed at City. He learned from the players around him. Then all of a sudden he became the main man.
Yeah.
And he's fallen away from that. And the best players generally don't. They stay on that trajectory. So he's got to find himself again, get back in the team and start doing what he does best. But if he gets a run again, he'll be fine.
Yeah. Now, listen, you used to do great things in a Liverpool shirt against Manchester United. So no doubt you were somewhat depressed at the scoreline. Let's finish on this. Liverpool-Chelsea on Saturday, 12:30 kickoff. Is this a great opportunity with Chelsea in the state they're in for Liverpool to go out there and win it?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those games, isn't it, where you think, could Chelsea show up? Because they've still got talent in abundance, although they're on a horrendous run. I think every game for Slot now is really important. It looks like they've got enough points cushion to get in the Champions League spot. Although I think they're only 6 ahead of Bournemouth, if I'm right. Looked at the table this morning.
Yeah.
That defeat at Man U was really damaging because the first half performance was woeful and the fans are fuming. The little bit of a reaction in the second half was more down to United's mistakes than Liverpool being that much better, and they lost the game.
Yeah.
If they were to lose at home to Chelsea after Chelsea on this run, the pressure's just going to ramp up. Irrelevant whether they get in the Champions League or not, because I said to you before on the show, the majority of Liverpool fans still don't want Slot in charge being the next season.
Still don't want him.
Correct. That's all the feels I get, friends, family, podcasts, people I follow, people I listen to. It's an overwhelming, let's make a change. Now, winning games at the end of the season and playing better would help die that down, dampen that down.
Yeah.
Losing at home to Chelsea, who can't beat anyone but Port Vale in the last 2 months, is not a good thing for him. So it's a huge game for Liverpool and for Slot.
Yeah, and you're right. Villa are in the same points total. Bournemouth 6 off them. So all of a sudden,
you never know.
Yeah. Danny, thanking you.
Pleasure.
I will catch you, Mr. Jordan, tomorrow when we will reappear as if by magic at 10 a.m. But it's Wednesday lunchtime and we're at 1 o'clock. Thanks for listening. Thanks for listening, as always, to us live in talkSPORT.